We look at elite athletes as if they're something different from us, and in some ways they are. But at their core, they're human. Just like us, they deal with pressure, fear, doubt, and failure. The emotions are the same, the stakes are just higher. In every sport, talent will only take you so far. At the highest level, the difference between winning and losing usually isn't physical. It's mental. The pressure, the fear, the self-talk. This is the side of sports most people don't see. Whether it's a quarterback in the fourth quarter, a fighter walking to the cage, or a racer sitting behind the gate, the mind behind the athlete can make all the difference. And in a sport like motocross, where the risk is high, being mentally locked in is everything. Today, we're sitting down with Christian Glasgow, a sports psychologist who helps top athletes build that mental edge. From confidence to composure, from identity to burnout, we're getting into it all. Gypsy gang, welcome Christian Glasgow to the podcast. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Run Through a Wall Smelling Salts, and I am extremely excited to announce that I am now one of the founders and owners of this company. If you remember the podcast with Chris Grenier, he is the host and founder of the Bombhole podcast. He had these as basically just merch for the podcast, and we're like, dude, this is literally an amazing company in of itself. About 18 months later, it is alive, and we are very excited to bring this to you. You'll see a bunch of dudes on the start line of AMA motocross races popping these bad boys. At least for me, I'm taking it before a moto, I'm taking it before jiu-jitsu, I'm taking it before a podcast, in the middle of a podcast, if pop a salt, and I'm getting a mental refresh. Breathing is quite important. We do it a lot. We do it every day. If you don't do it, you're in big trouble. You probably should start doing it. And one of the things that is going to help us breathe right is our new Run Through a Wall nasal strips. These things are unreal. They're lightly scented. They're the perfect scent. They are going to go onto the nostrils. This one's lavender. We also have eucalyptus. I'm using these when I'm training. I'm using these when I'm just sitting at the desk, when I sleep, as much as I possibly can. Nasal breathing is extremely important, and these nasal strips help you do just that. Head to runthroughawall.com, check out the full range. You can get the brick. It's 3-pack of the smelling salts. You can get the nasal strips, and just stay tuned. This is going to be a very fun journey. This is an awesome brand. The ethos behind this brand is extremely fun. It's a great outlet, but it's also products that can definitely improve your quality of life. Head to runthroughawall.com. Stay tuned for more. We're just getting started. Extremely excited to bring you this brand. And remember, run through a wall. Say no to doors. Completely unnecessary.
I met a gypsy.
We'll get into a little bit more about the scientific stuff, but like,
Yeah.
you would be low on a facet, a personality facet called neuroticism, which is a big word for anxiety. You'd be low on that.
I feel like, I wonder, we're just doing it, Christian.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. Let's just keep going there.
All right, let's just jump in.
So, yeah, I guess for people listening, you were just asking about if I got nervous before the first one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like that's one thing that I was just born without, okay, that's probably a good place to start. Like, the one thing that fascinates me is the combination between nature and nurture, right? Like we all got given this genetic code that was just, it's like determined and sequenced with like completely unbeknownst to us, zero control.
Right.
And then you have this environment that you're born into that then interacts with those genes and you end up as you. So it's like this question of like, is it nature versus is it nurture? Like, is there some neurobiology that goes on where I don't have that? Or is it the way that my parents raised me to where like I can look backwards in my life and tell a story of, well, I was a really early talker. Like from a kid, I could speak very early. I could read very early. I could write very early, which made me have conversations with adults very early. When I was a kid, I never sat at the kids' table. I sat at the big table. And so like you can kind of tell a story. So in my head, when I think back, I'm like, I don't get nervous. I don't get starstruck. I can kind of talk to anyone. It's like, is that something you're born with? Is that something that is developed through your environment? And I think like that's pretty much the question to almost everything that we do, right? Especially in like the sports psychology realm.
Yeah. And I see I'll answer the question, but in the realm of sports psychology, which I work with, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of sports psychs, and it's very straightforward. And everyone, there's big sports psychs bigger than me that have bigger names, that have programs that they run, and it's like, do this, and do this. And where I differ is what you're touching on, where I grew up with, two guys that are some of my oldest friends. One of them still one of my best friends, that they became professional athletes. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but one of them is a surfer bride named Rob Machado. And he's Australian, and Australians claim him too. He was born in Manly in '73. So
Yeah.
So I grew up with him, and I surfed against him competitively and did all that. And also another really dear friend and family, which was his name was Frankie Hayduck, and he played in a couple World Cups. He played for the U.S. national team. He single-handedly, in a quarterfinal against Germany, came off the bench and almost won. And then he got a contract with Bayer Leverkusen in Bundesliga, and he came back to the States, won MLS, and just like a beloved character. But you couldn't find two opposite personalities.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, Rob is really mellow, comes from a great family. Frankie, he's more of an alpha, and he thrives off competition, and not to say that Rob doesn't, but when it comes down to nature versus nurture, what science has uncovered and is very obvious is personalities and inborn stable characteristic across time. You get your genetics and whatnot, and then it's expressed in the phenotype, the clear eyes, and so on and so forth. And we don't have any control over that. But when it comes to personality, you've got the super brash and outlandish characters in many sports, and then you got the calm, cool, collected, meek, but internally they're really retaliatory and they're savages, but you don't know. And for instance, you can start to see personality types in utero. And case in point, my oldest son, around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, he was active in my wife's belly. And we were just like, oh, it's like late night party time, blah, blah, blah. And fast forward 17 years later, the guy's a night owl.
Really?
Yeah, he drives me nuts because I'm a morning person. And the cool thing about nature versus nurture, some people they're competitive, but they don't have that, beat your chest, like I'm going to kill you type thing.
Yeah.
They're more strategic. And that is something that can be learned. And so the answer is, yeah, there's personality, and then there's the nurturing aspect. And that is something that, like I said, I do differently, where I don't like apples, oranges, it's all fruit to me. Whatever sport you're in, I can adapt and I can do the pieces of the programming and the mental aspects and the visualization and the mindfulness and stress inoculation, all that stuff. I can do all that, no problem. And I can be adaptive. But I'm more interested in you as a person. You talk about how you don't get awestruck. Well, the great thing is having Rob and Frankie, it was they're two of my oldest friends, and I got my head behind the curtain, and I didn't even realize that I was getting a cheat sheet handed to me.
Yeah.
And I got to see the human side of things. So I learned, like you, it's I don't get awestruck. I'm more interested in an athlete that sits in front of me behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay. Culturally, is there any mental health issues or substance abuse issues? We all know those genetic predisposition for that.
Yeah.
And how was love modeled for you? Were your parents demonstrative, and did they hug you, or were they standoffish? And it's that shapes everything. And then you grow up and there you are.
Yeah.
So I know that's a long-winded answer, but I hope it answers it.
No, and it's cool. And it's, one of the reasons I was excited to talk to you on the pod, because I love that, just to really try and decode what's going on and where success comes from for certain people, And I think at the top level of sports, I mean, you would probably be able to put a better number on this than me, but I just feel like it has to be so mental. Like the percentage has to be so highly mental in terms of like what's the determining factor from a first place guy to a sixth place guy. And it's got to be so mental in so many cases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many people that, that like in the NBA and the NFL, Major League Baseball, and even in moto, it's like we've got the futures and like, how are they doing in the 250s? Or well, what are they going to do in the 450s? And you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't handle adversity, like you're toast, you're done. Like forget it. But the majority of people at this high level, it's like they don't like losing. They don't. And it's like, well, are you going to have this big emotional reaction, or can you go internal and improve yourself? Because it like everyone talks about, oh, so-and-so's racing it, so-and-so. It's like, and I sit with my guys. I said, look, this is not you against like Deegan or Shimoda. This is you against you.
Yeah.
And it's like, because what happens in sport is everyone looks at what everyone else is doing. And to me, that's a distraction. And it's like, okay, so you've made it to this level. What are you going to do now? Like, how bad do you want it? And those are very simplistic questions. But some people are, it's like, if you don't want to get better, what are you doing here? And you go back to as far as like who makes it. In 2018, the NCAA did a big study where they take all the high school athletes nationwide in America, and they transition, whether it be like junior college, Division III, Division II, Division I, like all the colleges. And out of the whole population of high school students, in 2018, it was a little bit less than 7%, which is very small. And then you make the jump to, professional and higher levels. And it's just like, and now these days things are improving so much for kids and the technology and access to everything. Like the percentage now I think is like less than 4% that high school makes it to college even. And then you go like,
Really?
oh, it's wild, man. And it's just like, and everyone sees, like, it's funny because I watched your 100 hours with Cole. Yeah. And there's the greatest part was when you were on his bike doing laps. And I was just like, this is so great. And then Cole comes out and he's all, is this a sight lap?
Yeah.
And it's like, he's joking and stuff, but like I think it gives people perspective. Like
Of how gnarly they are.
they're freaking gnarly.
Dude.
They're daredevils. They're rock stars. They're so gnarly. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest goals in this project is just to be like, look how fucking gnarly these dudes are. Like, this is absolutely insane what they're doing. And like, I watched MotoGP on the weekend, and they're at Saxon Ring and turn one. So like, you've got a track that consists of mostly left turns.
Yeah.
So the tire is just getting
shredded,
roasted on the left, and it's got heat and it's got grip. And then the right side, you're barely on it, so it's cold. And then when you do get on it, it's losing a lot of rubber because it doesn't have the temperature in it. And they're going into turn one, which is a right-hander after the entire lap of just lefts, cold front tire, 340 Ks an hour, and the lean angle's like 56 degrees. And it's just like, that's not human. Like, that's a different thing than what a human should be able to do. Like, how the fuck does your brain even get wired to be able to perform that, let alone with all of the variables changing in real time and the pressure of a world title and contract negotiations? And it's just like what these dudes are actually capable of. And I think it's probably just one of the things that makes us love sport so much, is because it's so unrelatably relatable. Like, you kind of can picture just how crazy it is, but I think a lot of times people even get it wrong. Like, it's so much crazier than what people actually think.
Yeah, and the other aspect is, people have a lot more access with social media, And I'm very fortunate in my job to get the trust of the people I work with and even their spouses and families and whatnot. And there's a lot of things that people don't see.
Oh, for sure.
They don't see the human side of things.
Yeah.
And that's where with what I do is where I really, really take in the human element. Because it's like I look at it as like it's this Venn diagram. Like I can't treat the athlete unless I understand the human side of things. And then that intersection is like performance.
Yeah.
How can I understand them as a person? How can I understand that as an athlete, mentally and physically, and help them increase in performance? Because the research says it's like happy athletes perform better. And so when you talk about the mental piece, like it's like I've been called a lot of things. They call me Harry Potter, the Chamber of Secrets, because I can't. It's all confidential, anonymous. And then some people call me the dump because they get to come dump their shit on me, which is totally fine. That's my job.
Yeah.
But being able to do that at their level, and like think about moto, the difference between first and 9th and 13th and whatever. If you got stuff going on in your life, like that's a distraction.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about GP and you're in like the Moto GP and those tracks over there are just wild. They're so rough. And even the tracks here, it's like it's ever changing. It's like there's one guy that at Redbud where he was watching the 450s and they were taking the outside and they had watered the middle a little bit and they were taking the outside and he was taking this run and the berm just gave out. And it's just like those are things that people don't realize. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, just the variables that they have to deal with.
And it's constantly evolving and changing. One lap is going to be different from the last lap, like without question.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me, the nuances, and it's like I get really excited, but then it's like watching races and watching my athletes go what they go through, it really helps me. And it's like, okay, so what did you learn? What are you going to do differently?
Yeah, and there's always something.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
But here's one aspect from just like a psychological piece to be anchored in. Say you work at a store and they say, oh, Jace is, you get a performance evaluation. Jace is on time, he's dependable, he's good with customers, this, that, and the other. And there are 9 positive things. And you got one that is constructively critical and rooted in what you would call negativity. Do people focus on the 9 positive or the 1 negative?
Yeah, we have an inherent negativity bias in our psyche.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the one thing that, everyone remembers what they did wrong because they're competitive. But the whole thing, and there's a lot of research and study, it's like that positive self-talk. It may sound a little cheesy and cliche, but I practice it. I've worked with people. I work with goats. I've been very fortunate in other sports. I work with a lot of people in moto, and it's like, if you're going to beat yourself up internally, how does that help you? To me, it's a waste of energy and a waste of time.
Yeah.
And you get into that negative feedback loop.
Yeah.
But, it's like most sports, there can only be one winner. So what are people thinking about at a race? What do people, teams, and fans care about the most?
The winner.
The result.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you start worrying about, like, case in point, I had this guy come to me from the PGA. He was a rookie, and he had 3 holes left with 5 to play. Or he was up 5 strokes with 3 to play.
Yeah.
And guess what he started doing?
Choking.
Yeah.
Thinking negatively.
No. Not negatively. He got there, but what he started thinking about was, what if I win? The money. I get an exemption on the tour card. And it was so, he came to me after this, and I went back and watched it, and it was so painful.
Did he lose?
Yeah, he lost.
Oh,
he totally lost.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
It is, and there's a great example in moto this year, and it was very interesting for me you know, is the race where Haiden won Supercross. And so what was the big thing that everyone was talking about in that race?
Which, the Cole one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like after that race, and it was kind of unfortunate. Like, I just feel bad for Haiden, not in a pitiful way, but, you know, it was like, I asked my guys, like 8 guys, like 450, 250, hey, what did you think? What did you think about Cole's move? And unanimously, all the guys said, like, hey, rookie mistake. He left himself open.
Yeah. Which I agree with as well.
Yeah. And I feel that I feel bad for Haiden in that regard. But like, how does Cole rebound from that? I mean, honestly, like, you know, Cole's a young kid, and we'll get into the development piece and how young. But like, the greatest thing was, you know, like, you see all the guys go and give him I think you even went up and gave him a hug.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole week we'd spent together.
Oh,
so
was it?
Yeah. So it was fun. I actually
okay.
got a bit of shit. Like, some people like, why is he just going up and hugging riders? Like, so I had some people, but I was
I'm glad you said that.
But yeah, I'd spent the whole week with him. So we like literally lived together for the week. So we'd kind of like gone through it, you know, and then right there in the moment, I was like, this poor bastard. But I mean, I think it was one of the best things for him in a way, you know, like, I think that really lit a fire under his ass. Like, he rode really good that next week at the test track. Like, it just changed him, you know, like that moment affected him. And I think because of his natural mindset, like, he's so young. He has such a good mindset, you know, like, even that was one of the pieces that I was trying to tell in that story was his mindset, you know, like, to be able to get beat the way that he did at the practice track on the weekend, during the week, and then on the weekend to still have the conviction and the self-belief, and it be real, and it not be just like saying the right things. Like, there's a ton of times in Supercross where, like, because I'm at a lot of the press conferences and you ask the question and I hear an answer, I'm like, you don't believe that. Like, you're saying the thing that you should say in this moment, but I don't believe you.
Do you ever voice that?
No.
Yeah.
It'd be rude.
No, I understand. And
there's like a professional line, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Where I don't like want to cross, but yeah, there's definitely some times where I'm just like, I wish you would have said a different thing because I don't think you believe this, you know? And I think that was one of the coolest things about the Cole interview that he gave after that moment with Deegan. No one spoke to him about it. No one coached that response.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody had input in that. Like, it was he was on the track and he was kind of, you know, like, had his moment to himself. And then he got up and he came over and we were kind of chatting, just like, you're good, blah, blah, blah. No one said, say this, say that, don't think about, you know.
It's just authentic.
That was his response.
Right.
So that to me was such a great sign of like maturity and like presence, you know, like just to actually be in the moment, not let it overtake you. I think that's a very hard thing to learn as an athlete at any age, let alone such a young age, you know?
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like everyone is so results based. And what I try, one of the big things that I do is like, don't worry about the result. What really matters, like what gets results, it's performance. And so I tell every athlete from, you know, I've got some of the youngest athletes, like 10, 11, that are getting looks and getting TV up to old veterans, like be performance centric. Performance gets results. And so, you know, the thing with Cole too is like, it's another aspect is it's resiliency and grit. You know, there can only be one winner. You walk into an octagon, there's only going to be one winner. Tennis court, you know, NHL, NBA, NFL, it's like there can only be one winner. And how are you going to respond to adversity? And so, and to take it even further, like, you know, being a parent is the hardest job in the world. It's the hardest job you'll ever love. And the thing is like most parents want to solve their kids' problems for them. And then the the most gut wrenching thing for me and a lot of other parents that I've known and interacted with is watching your child struggle and allowing it to happen.
Yeah, when you could help them.
Totally. It's like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, all the king's horses, all the king's men, couldn't put them back together. So who needs to put Humpty Dumpty back together? Himself. And to hear that Cole went and did that, it's like brilliant. That's great. And the fact that, and, you know, and that's like behind the scenes type thing. I didn't know you spent that time with him. And it's like, yeah.
I was just trying to be there for a friend, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was just a real, like you said, it's just like a human, like a real human moment.
One thing that really just perturbed me in sports a few years ago was, you know, Michaela Schifrin, the big downhill skier. She's not my client, so I can speak openly about it. But, you know, you train basically 4 years for one event. Granted, there's World Cups and this, that, and the other, but the Olympics is the upper echelon of ski and a lot of other sports. And she went out and she didn't medal, she didn't podium on anything. And it bothered me so much because I'd hear all these local sports psychs and national news, and they're like, oh, she just needed to visualize this last turn, and she needed to do this. It's like, fuck that. Go give her a hug. Like, she worked her ass off, and she's at this level, and it wasn't her day. And frankly, it wasn't her Olympics, to put it frankly. But, like, the fact that everyone did that, I thought that was so endearing and touching for Cole.
Yeah. Let's linger on the performance over results thing, because more people listening to this are normal people than elite athletes. There'll be some elite athletes that will listen, but for the most part, it's just normal everyday people. And I think that's such a wise perspective for life in general, right? Because like there is results in the game of life. Like we're all playing the game of life, whether we think of it as a game or not. And the game does have winners and losers. Yeah. And a lot of times, like, we can focus on outcomes and we can focus on the results of our life instead of our performance. And it's been a thing that I think I've probably like developed mentally over the last like 10 years is like I probably have moved away from a person that focuses on results to now I just try and do my best. And in terms of the podcast, like this is just the show I want to make. This is the 100 hours Cole Davies. I just wanted to make that. I wasn't comparing myself to anybody. I didn't have any metrics in mind. I didn't have any numbers I wanted to hit. Like the whole goal, even the team that were editing it, like our boys internally, they're like, how long's the video? And I'm like, as long as it needs to be fucking awesome. That's it. Like, I don't care about anything else. And I think that it's a pretty powerful switch that you can make in your life to just focus on yourself and not the outcomes. And the cliche of like, it's the journey, not the destination. I mean, like if you can become the kind of person that enjoys the journey for the journey's sake and the process for the process's sake, then you, by proxy, end up being a person that gets results, you know?
Right. And you're touching on something that is very interesting because, you know, when we talk about behavior, whether it just be athletic or personal, how do you get results? And there's goal setting theory in particular, like you have, but we live in a day and age where it's like instant gratification. Like I can look something up on Google, whatever, I can figure it out. And we're losing sight of like the long view. And so it's like with goal setting theory, it's like, where do you want to be? Like you set some small goals. Like where do you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? And then the overall goal is like, where do you want to be in a year? And how you gauge if you're getting progress is like, where are you at 3 months? And that's data. That's science. Like that's irrefutable. Like, are you making progress? And like being able to perform and be performative is pretty easy when you're practicing. But how do you perform when the cameras are on and the show's there and you got people in the stands? Like, how are you going to deal with that pressure? That's the mental game.
So For you as a sports psychologist working with athletes, is there almost two things that you focus on almost separately? Like there's the what are you doing in your everyday life when nobody's watching, and then there's the arena type moment, and you have to treat those differently.
Yeah, because there's alpha dogs, and then even rarer than alpha dogs, there's wolves. And they could be so great at their sport, and they could be cutthroat and ruthless. They can be brash. They can be quiet. They can be anything they want, and they're performing and they're doing well. That doesn't translate being an alpha and a wolf in dealing with family. Or
in real life.
In real life.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about like the two different environments, one thing that I, as far as like performance is getting people to be able to, it's like, there's two terms that people really gravitate to. It's like switch it on and switch it off. Clock in, clock out. And that's that, the Venn diagram, the athlete human, there's the performance. How do you learn to turn that off and turn it on? Because essentially you brought it up earlier, like the family, the contracts, am I going to lose my ride? My results aren't good. Like, how do you turn that off? And that's so much noise that it just ruins people. And part of my job is to allow them to process some of that stuff, put it over here. Like, we'll come back. Go do your job.
Yeah. You can put this down right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
there's a great story that what was the race before Redbud?
Was it?
I forget.
High Point?
Yeah, I think it was High Point. Well, regardless. So at that race, one of my guys started beefing with another rider. And he told me, he's like, I want to get him. I wanted to put him into the dirt, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what the? I literally said that. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, look at all this work we've been doing. You're going to ruin it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, we are dealing with behavior. And so it's not what people say, it's what people do. And behavior is very predictable. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And so whether something, we talk about the nature and nurture, like people have an equilibrium and they have a balance, and that's normal to them. And then if you got someone that grows up in a very conflictive, just boisterous house and has a bunch of conflict and chaos, that's normal. And they will recreate that in their personal life.
Yeah.
And then you've got people but that's the thing is like, it doesn't matter if it's stable or unstable. That's their equilibrium and that's their balance. And there's a healthier way. And it's like, it's rewiring things. And those are conversations that are painstakingly, can be borderline offensive to people. It's like, well, what? It's like, no, like there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. Don't do that. You are hardwired to do that. And if you do that, you will self-destruct. Case in point, 10 years ago, I had this really great UFC fighter. And we had very similar backgrounds, some mental health issues in the family, grew up with a single parent, and he intimidated people. And so he and this other guy were chirping at each other, and it got really personal. And he came to me because his agent called me up and was like, hey, he's super talented. He got too much noise going on between his ears. The guy lit him up, chirped him, got into the ring, no game plan. And you do jiu-jitsu. It's like you make one mistake against your opponent, like you're wrapped up, you're done.
Yeah. It's definitely not a place to just run on emotion.
No, and so the funny thing is like he was down in Red Bulls and like listening to Pantera, just and it was like
redlining. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that's emotion.
Yeah.
That's not cognitive.
Yeah.
That's like, there's certain things and, the physiology, there's things that are going to happen, the adrenaline, the cortisol and everything, but you have to keep your brain engaged and focused and execute your plan. So he went out in that fight and got lit up. And he didn't want to meet with me because I came in the first time in LA and I had a suit on and everything. And he's like, who's this fucking clown? He can't relate to me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he challenged me. He's like, you ever been in a fight? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you ever been knocked out? Yep. And he goes, you ever been choked out? I go, nope. He goes, I don't want to fucking talk to you.
That's so good.
It was heavy. And I was like, okay, if I do that, you come to my hometown and you come to my office.
Yeah.
And so I went and did it and had a friend of mine, like, put me to sleep, which is probably not the best thing to share out here in public, but
That's fun.
yeah, but he called my bluff.
Yeah.
And I went for it. I called his bluff actually. And I went for it. And then we got into it. And the smallest thing that made the biggest difference was it was a song. It's like, put the headphones on. We went from Pantera to the orchestrated version of Flight of the Bumblebee. No lyrics, calm, consistent, mind relaxed, body activated. And that, going back full circle, is like, that's the switch on right there. And it was wild that I'm like, dude, you got to find another song, man. And that was the one thing that like kicked it into gear for him to level out. Plus unloading about how shitty his family life was.
Yeah.
That was a great case.
Do you think that, because so you're a sports psychologist, but that everyone's like a human first, right? So you're just like, you're doing human psychology on a sports person. And then there's like a certain expertise there. So it's not like it's just go to you for the game plan, and it's like you try and really work with the person underneath it. Because they play sport,
Yeah. And there's relatability because I was an athlete. I grew up surfing against like I said, Rob, and, I nationally ranked, and then I played soccer all the way through college and had friends that played for the World Cup team and so on and so forth. So there's that relatability factor, but also, when it comes to my training, my mentor, the person who had the biggest impact on me is a guy by the name of Dr. Ron Stolberg, and he's a graduate professor, and in the world of academia, he's the top personality assessment guy in the nation.
Really?
Yeah, like Major League Baseball, like every big team in the United States has someone like me attached to a team, and it's primarily for substance abuse violations and keeping things under wraps and so on and so forth. So when they get into trouble, Dr. Stolberg gets the call, and he's my colleague now. I've made it to his level, well, somewhat, but he told me, he said, look, go get really sound in the clinical aspect. And he goes, then once you have that, you start building your practice, then find a niche, find something that you can be an expert in.
Yeah.
And so naturally, like being an athlete and having exposure to my two oldest friends, Frank Hayduck and Rob Machado, it was a very easy entry point for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So when was your like initial interest in psychology, do you think? When could you go, when would that go back to? Oh, well, I don't share too much personal stuff, but it is personal experience. And there's some mental health issues that run rampant on one side of my family. And, That's a real thing.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. But that's the interesting thing is like people see me and I come in a suit and I'm a psychologist and I'm a middle-aged Caucasian white guy.
Quite a put together fella.
Yeah. Well, I was sewn back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what people don't realize is like I have personal experience, and and that was part of my journey because I was growing up in North County, San Diego, and Cardiff, Encinitas, which is a huge action sports hub, like skate, surf, snow, moto, Temecula, everything. And like I grew up, with all these people and didn't even realize like where they would go in life. And then, my dad got remarried and we moved up to Northern California. which was like literally moving to like Siberia for me. It was just like, I lost all my friends. I was the only guy that surfed at my school. Like all the girls liked me because I was new, and all the guys hated me because I was new. And
They all hated you because the girls liked you because you were new.
yeah, I was the new guy.
Yeah.
And it was a small town and everything. And you know, my first stepmom at the time, who I'm actually still in contact with, my dad was divorced not very long afterwards. And she said, hey, go talk to this lady. Because she could see it. And I mean, she saw like I had issues, and I was very emotional. I still am. But having that first initial session when I was 16, the light bulb went off for me.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So it's like that. A lot of people don't know that about me, but it's like, hey, I'm an advocate for this stuff.
Yeah.
And so like, I know what it's like to sit on the couch and be a patient. And I still do it once a week.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. It's like, I have a woman that, you know, 1 week it's her week, and she talks about either cases that she's working on or personal stuff. And then the next week it's my turn to jump in and either be the patient or get consultation. And so it's like, I got to practice what I preach.
Yeah.
And it's healthy, and it's, you know, but to be honest, like people don't come to me because things are going well.
Yeah.
It's like, I try and really normalize psychology and therapy and treatment. It's like, your tooth hurts, see a dentist.
Yeah.
You know, car.
I mean, yeah, first of all, I'm on the exact same page. I talk about therapy on here openly. Like my wife and I, we both do therapy together. We have like one therapist. We see her together every second week. Yeah. And then if like my wife's away, so I'll probably see her myself. If I'm away, my wife will go see her. And we've been going to the same lady for like nearly 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it's just like one of the best things that we've ever done, you know? And like we didn't have problems, but I was just like, hey, we're married. Like this is, we're going to be together a fucking long time. Like, let's just like,
that's the plan.
Yeah. Like, let's just do some maintenance on this thing, you know, like before we get any dramas, before any resentment, before like life has its way of affecting you. I was like, let's just go and do it. And it's been like one of the best things ever for us, you know? And like at the start, there was stuff that we spoke about on a relationship standpoint, you know, but then it's kind of just become life, you know, like we sit down together and I'm talking about last time was just like, I'm fucking stressed out. I got to leave. I've got to try and keep this show on the road. I got 5 people that depend on me, and there's no one that I can depend on, you know, like kind of it all flows uphill and stops with me. And I feel like I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I've got to provide for all these different people that rely on me, you know? So it's like, it's that type of thing that you can kind of like, you get off your chest, and my wife's there listening to it. And then so it's like, it just becomes this collaborative, open session of just like where your head's at. And half the time, like I'm not getting anything back from her that's groundbreaking and mind altering, perspective shifting, but it's just having the place to speak openly and talk about the things that are bothering you, and just get someone to listen to that perspective, and my wife to hear what I'm going through, and then for me to hear what she's going through. You know, like we're living the same life, but from 2 completely different perspectives, and those perspectives have to commingle and coexist. Yeah. You know, so I'm just the biggest advocate for it. And I just think everybody should be in that, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. But the hard thing is like, there's a couple athletes that have come my way, and it's like their agent, you know, their team, their coach, whoever that's in their inner circle, they're like, he needs it, she needs it. And everyone knows like, hey, they need this. But if they're resistant or don't want to do it, don't force it. Like I can't. I've had people that have come in and it's forced, and I'm super open. It's like, hey, like if this isn't the right time or this isn't the right fit, like just tell me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. The door is always open. And part of being here today, especially with motocross, is like my guys and the agents that I work with in particular in moto, like Chris Onstadt, everyone knows him as Beaker, and Carlos Aguilar and Jacob over at Wasserman. It's like they all get what I do. They all understand it, and they're big advocates for it. But if one of their people doesn't want to participate, I'm not going to force it.
Yeah.
You have to want to, like, people have to want to do the work, and like psychology still has such a negative stigma. And I'm an advocate for it, and I want to be here, and I want people to see me. It's like, I'm a normal guy. I just happen to be specialized in this one area. Doesn't mean I have everything figured out or I'm perfect, but I'm human like everyone else.
Yeah. And you've got like a certain set of tools in the toolbox that can be applied to, different things trigger, and you're like, oh, well, this is kind of the science behind that, and this is how the brain works, and this is how this affects, you've just kind of got a skill set that can illuminate the darkness in a way for some people.
Well, and it's like, people avoid the darkness.
Yes.
And that's, and repressing things and this, that, and the other. It's
the
like,
shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Carl Jung.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's some truth in that for sure. But it's like, that's what I appreciate about people that sit in front of me. It's like some people are very, very slow to warm up. And it's like, I have to really match their pace and their cadence to be able to talk about the dark things. And then some people, like we talk about personality, they're just open books and they just shit, piss, and vomit, and they go for it. And I love that. Yeah. I love that. But it's like everyone has a different pace, and everyone has a different personality and comfort about what they share. And I have to be super mindful and respectful of that.
Do you think that people, I guess, get that they can change their mind and change the way their mind works? Do you think it's common knowledge?
I think it's common knowledge, but when you go back into like behavior and patterns, like, let's think about this out loud and just simplify it. Quitting smoking and quitting drinking is like, oh yeah, duh, no, like, of course. But we are so accustomed to those patterns, it makes it really, really difficult. And behavior change is hard, but that's what makes it so great also. And can people change? Absolutely. And if you take the emotion out of it, it seems pretty easy. But people use things for coping and crutches and so on and so forth. But the basic foundational component is consistency and discipline. And that's, in this day and age of instant gratification, we talk about performance and stuff like that. It's like, let's play the long game. And as soon as you start to get some traction, like an individual, it's like throwing gas on the fire. It's like, oh, it's tangible. Oh, I can feel it. Oh, I can see it. And that's when things take off.
Yeah. 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 Because I don't know if people, in just everyday people, would just like understand the level of change that they actually can accomplish with work, and I feel it in my own life. I can see it in other people that I'm around that will like kind of commit to working on themselves in a way. Like you really can affect change in your life, and it's hard in a sense, but it's also not hard in a sense. Like I think the hardest part in a way is just like admitting your own flaws, and like it's almost like admitting that you need to change is the hardest part of change. The change itself, if you're 100% committed, isn't that difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like can you have the mirror looking back at you, and can you be honest with yourself? I mean, look, I've had to make changes in my life, and it's not easy, and I don't, it's like that's kind of the dark stuff. Like, I don't like that about me. Okay, so if you don't like that about you, what the fuck are you doing the same things for?
Yeah.
Like, let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
And and I'm at an age where it's like I trade youth for wisdom, and I've had to really do things differently personally and professionally. And it's not easy. It's not, and I understand that. But I'm telling you, when you get to the other side and you get to a place where you want to be, it's so gratifying and builds confidence, and you feel so much better about yourself. It's just like, it's such a simple thing that is so complex. But like, if you can get there, like, just as long as you can have hope and you have that consistency and discipline, you can make it.
Yeah.
You can definitely make it.
This podcast is brought to you by our new electrolyte partner, SOTA Fuel. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you would know that I'm pretty big on the whole hydration thing. Every single day, I make sure I drink water mixed with SOTA Fuel electrolyte mix. SOTA Fuel is packed with all 6 essential electrolytes and key vitamins to help keep you hydrated and performing at your best. With up to 5 times more effective hydration than water alone, you'll stay energized and focused throughout your ride. Plus, there's no added sugar, so you won't experience those dreaded spikes or sugar crashes. As far as a supplement for riding dirt bikes, SOTA Fuel is your friend on and off the track. It helps reduce arm pump, muscle fatigues, keeps you hydrated to avoid headaches, and provides sustained energy to keep you sharp. SOTA Fuel is not only effective, but it's also one of the cleanest and most complete formulas on the market, with 2 to 3 times the electrolytes compared to industry standard, and a cost per gram that is twice as affordable. Lightweight, portable sachets are perfect. Throw in your gear bag, throw in your toiletries bag, throw in your work bag. They've got 4 great flavors, but my personal favorite is this bad boy right here. Gypsy juice. This is our very own flavor. I think it is by far the best flavor out of the 4. Go to sotafuel.com right now or click the link in the description. I would love for you guys to try it. So you do this first session when you're 16 years old.
Yeah.
And so did you feel it immediately that you were like, okay, I actually really needed this? Like there is a there when it comes to this.
You know what I did the first time I went in? I walked in. Her name was Dr. Carol Weiser, and she's in Santa Rosa. I walked in, I sat on the couch, and I bawled. And like thinking about it now, it's like, but it's like, I cried, and I had no control. It just like poured out of me, and it was like, I really need this. I may not want this, but I need it. And it reminded me of like, I think it was 2010, and it happened in the same week. And it reminded me of the story I just told you. It's like, I had 2 of one female athlete, and 3 days later I had a male athlete. And at the time, on a global scale, they were number 1 in the sport. They were the biggest names, and they just happened to just like fall in my lap. And I'll never forget it, because I was super nervous, and I called, Dr. Stolberg, said, "Hey man, I got a Moby Dick coming in. I got the big white whale." Like, he's like, "Calm down. Like, you're the professional, blah, blah, blah." And because I was asking you about your first podcast.
Yeah.
So the woman walks in, and she comes in, shakes my hand, sits down. Guess what she does?
Starts crying.
Yeah. And the light bulb just went, she's human.
Yeah.
And that was a powerful moment professionally for me. And it reminded me of like Rob and Frankie growing up with them. And it's like, everyone's human, man. And fame is a 4-letter fucking word. And I want nothing to do with it. I'm like, being here is like out of my comfort zone. But, it's like, I'm challenging myself to do my goal, which is to make psychology relatable, to normalize it, to be an advocate for it, instead of this like, oh, you got to be crazy, go talk to someone. And you and your story, it's like, it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, the fame thing's definitely, it's a weird thing to want, and then it's also a thing that you can't know what it's like when you're wanting it. And then once you get it, it's so different to what you thought. And I'm not saying that as like a famous person.
No, I get
you know
it.
what I mean?
I
But
get
it's
it.
just like, you don't know what that, it's like being a vampire. you like, oh yeah, you never die and this and that. But then it's like you just don't know what it's like to be a vampire until you're a vampire. And then once you're a vampire, you can never not be a vampire again. It's like such a weird thing. And it's like, yeah, there's probably something kind of broken if you like actually want that thing.
Well, I mean, but part of it is like, once you get to the certain level, like it's going to happen no matter what. And dealing with, like I have like 3 high school athletes that I work with that are going to play. They all 3 of them play football, and they're going to big time colleges. Like the biggest, they're gonna be up for, they're in the top 10, so on and so forth. But I'm being a little vague on purpose. But with all the NIL money and everything, like they step on foot on the campus, like they're getting anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 in revenue sharing from the university.
Really?
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
That is crazy, eh?
Like, you've got an 18-year-old kid that is the rock star in college and, 5-star, 4-star recruit, and everyone knows he's coming to the university, and then that you're going to shove a bunch of money in his pocket?
And that you want to make him feel special. You want to make him feel like he loves the school and he loves the environment. And so you're basically creating this bubble of amazingness around him to color,
Right.
to make him wear his rose-colored glasses at all times. Like, yeah, that is a lot to put on a kid.
Yeah. But that's what we're seeing across the board globally in sports. It's like we talked about earlier, the percentage of people that making it to college level is definitely shrunken, and it's more competitive and it's way harder. And like the X Games that recently happened in Japan and the one in Utah, we got teenagers and preteens competing. It's like, it's bonkers. And we talk about fame and them growing up. It's like, it's wild. I mean, my son and I, we go, all 3 of my boys, like we've fallen in love with racing, like moto. My dad raced flat track when I was a kid and used to ride a little bit, but then my boys just gravitated to it. And we went to Angel Stadium and we're walking the Supercross, and Cole Davies, my son's like, Dad, that's Cole. That's Cole. I'm looking at him like he's a year and a half older than my son.
Yeah, he's literally a kid too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, but then it's like, then he's in the big spotlight.
Yeah.
So I got a great question for you. So, and this goes back to the human element and performance. So for the last, 15, 18 years, I've been working with athletes behind the scenes. Take a guess at what the number one topic of conversation is across the board. And it's something very simple, and everyone deals with it. I'll give you that hint.
Probably like family.
That's number 2.
Oh, okay.
You're close.
Number 1 thing. I don't know, family. Just like personal relationships?
Romantic relationships.
Yeah.
That is the number 1 topic of conversation. That is probably the thing that affects athletes the most.
I'm so glad you said that.
I'm curious. I want to hear your response.
Yeah, I totally believe it, man. It's funny. Like I've been, I'm a big journal guy, so I write every day. I'll just do like a full page, and I've been doing it for years. But one of the things that I've been like kind of coming back to recently, and like kind of trying to get my thoughts around, is basically, at least for me, like, all right, this is my ideas of like, if I got a son, I'm going to be like, okay, son, this is what you need to do for at least the first 35 years, because that's all I've kind of got figured out. You get given a set of gifts when you're born. Everybody has something that they're good at. Everybody has a way that their brain works that is good for a specific thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't fight that. Don't do the thing that you want to be good at. Like I wanted to be a good motocross racer. I was fucking didn't have the gifts. Like that wasn't a thing that I was ever going to do, right? And so it's like you can spend your developmental years like kind of fighting, like swimming upstream to do a thing that you wish you were good at or
Right.
you would love to be, but you might just not get there. So it's like identify what you're good at, identify your strengths, and invest in that. Like you were
Right.
given those tools, so just swim downstream and see what you can develop, right? And so it's like you spend those teenage years developing that skill set. And I think that in that time, if you do it the right way and if you focus on performance and not outcomes and results, you can kind of learn a bit about like who you are and what makes you tick. Like you can develop yourself through that process, you know, and then you can spend the next little part of your life, which would be like your early, you know, late teens, 20s, when you first need to go out and make something in the world. And it's like, so do something, take your skills that you've developed and then add value to society, because society rewards people for that. Mm-hmm. And then if you have spent time genuinely developing that, then you're probably going to be able to enjoy that process. And so you're going to be getting rewarded for doing something that you enjoy. Then your next challenge to set up the next part of your life is to find who do you want to live with and where do you want to live? That's just your two things from there. And it's like funny just because the last 5, 6, 7 years, it's just been like a whirlwind for me, moving around, trying to get set up and trying to build a business. And like, it's been a struggle just to like get here, you know? And then I got married, love my wife. She's fucking awesome. And I really enjoy being with her, but I didn't enjoy where we lived. Right. So I had like one part of the equation, but not the other. And you can really love where you live, but if you don't love the person you live with, then the place that you live doesn't mean shit. So it's like, if you don't have both of those at the same time, it can be a struggle. So it's like, I think that in your early years when you're like on your own, doing your own thing, like trying to make something of yourself in the world, your romantic relationship and where you live are probably the two most significant factors that you should really try and get a handle on.
Yeah, I mean, that's one big thing about sports, and the age has just dropped as far as like people that master and have a real great potential to be, you know, a professional for many years. Yeah. Granted, there are a lot of factors, but it's like, that's one thing that I deal with parents with all the time, is like they've got this quote unquote prodigy, or they got someone who's super talented, and they're like, oh, they need to be doing this and they need to be doing that. It's like, well, when are they going to be a kid? Like, everyone thinks they got a D1 scholarship. Everyone thinks that their kid's going to go pro. And it's like, yeah, your kid's talented now, but other kids are going to be late bloomers and they're going to catch up. And then you're really going to figure out if your kid's going to make it probably more in like high school, 15 to 18, when girls and boys get introduced in social things and parties and stuff like that. And it's like, well, those are distractions, but time is something we cannot get back. And that's part of something like with athletes that I really stress is like, hey, you do this all the time. And there's a term in sports psych called active recovery. Like, are you taking time off? Are you, like one guy, you know, there's a bunch of golfers on motocross. Like, go golf. Yeah. Oh, you want to go fish? Go fish. Get off the grid. Get away from it. And it's enrichment. It's enjoyment. And like I said, like happy athletes perform better. And it's, you know, if someone loses or they don't get a good result, it's like, I need to get back in the gym. I need to just go hard. I need to work harder. No, that's burnout. And then you had Peter Park on here, and he was talking about weightlifters and load management. Yeah. And that works very well, because I, you know, with my philosophy is like learning to turn it on and turn it off. Like, go be a human being. Like, go just be you. Go enjoy yourself, because everyone is so focused on result. Well, if you're miserable and you're getting results, you're still going to be miserable. So what's the freaking point?
It's funny when before Haiden Deegan went pro, like I'm friends with Brian, so we'd be having a bunch of conversations, and I can't remember. I feel like it might have even been like on the podcast when it was like right before he was about to sign his first pro deal, and he's like, "What would you do?" And I'm like, "I'd focus on just making him a good dude."
Yeah.
Like, does he have good habits? Does he, like, can he read a book? Can he, like, be interested in something outside of motocross? Like, is there a general, like, humanity there? Because it's like, I think you might have seen this in practice, but it's like you can have these athletes that are so laser focused and all they have is their sport, and they have blocked out all the distractions, and they have blocked out all of the outside noise, and they've just created like this little silo for themselves. And it's like, historically though, that can produce some pretty phenomenal
Absolutely
results, but is there like a balance to be kind of made there? Like, I'm assuming that a guy like Ricky Carmichael didn't have much balance, and I'm assuming a guy like Lance Armstrong didn't have much balance. And it's like I'm not sure what his like marital status is, if he got divorced, or like if he was by all accounts, like he wasn't a great person to be around during those times. So it's like there's an argument to be made, right? Like, do you want to be the best, or do you want to be like a kind of balanced dude that can enjoy all 90 of his years, as opposed to being an athlete that is like unbelievable for 20, but then spends the next 60 years picking up the pieces.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's the human element, which I try and focus on, because like I've been part of Alliant University, and what we do is, my colleague Ron Stolber works there, and we've done this a couple times where we get a room full of like 80 to 100 doctoral psychology students, and we bring in a couple of our athletes that we work with, and we set them up on stage, and it's just so authentic and cool. And you've got these really bright, intelligent students, and they're firing off all these questions. And one of the themes that came out was like, and I'll ask you this question: what is the hardest thing for an athlete in their professional career from start to end as an athlete? What is the hardest thing for them to grasp?
Retirement.
Exactly. The R word. And you get men and women that get injured, and it's almost like a get out of jail free card. It's like, oh, what could have been, like they got injured, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got someone who is aging out, and they're so focused in their silo, and that's what makes them great, but they don't have any other skills. And it's such a mind fuck, because the fame and the ego and everything gets wrapped up in it. And the funny thing is, like, I do get fired from time to time. I mean, thankfully everyone's come back. But like I had this big NFL guy. He was the biggest, baddest dude in his sport. And he had horrible anxiety, and he would throw up before every game, but didn't want anyone to know. And so he was in town, and I met him in his hotel in LA. Oh, Dr. Christian, like, let's take a photo, like put it on your Instagram. I'll give you a boost. I'm like, no, I don't need you to help me out. I mean, granted, yeah, it would be great, but like, no, that's unethical. Like, I'm not going to do that. And he was like mortified. He couldn't get it. I was just like, dude, does everyone tell you yes? And he was like, yeah, I guess they do. I'm like, well, I'm going to be the one person in your life and your future girlfriend and wife that's going to tell you no. So ask me again if I'm going to take a photo with you. And he goes, do you want to take a selfie with me? I said, fuck no.
That's awesome.
And he hollered and like gave me a hug and started crying. He's like, you're so real. It's like, dude.
But that is a real thing, right? Like you, especially like I've got some friends going through the retirement thing at the moment, and I don't think they realized how hard it was going to be. And they're like fucking pretty awesome people, you know? So it's not like I wouldn't look at them and like I'm good friends with them. I'm not like, I'd be like, you've got massive holes, bro, like in your light, you know, like you don't, it's not like they're a super flawed individual, but I just don't think that they had perspective on like what it would actually mean to step away from this thing that they've literally invested their entire life into doing. And you can, you get a lot of people around you that will just tell you what you want to hear. Like the power dynamic is pretty asymmetrical in that sense, and you naturally kind of end up in those situations. And then just like the identity, and you know, like an athlete, I think it's one of the reasons why athletes love being athletes is you just have built-in purpose every day. Like every day that you wake up as an athlete, it's pretty easy to find something to do that you can derive meaning from, because it's taken you one step closer to whatever the next race, the next championship, the next contract, the next, like very, very inbuilt purpose. And I just don't think athletes kind of take stock of that in the moment, maybe even appreciate it in the moment, but then also know that that's going to be a thing they're going to have to deal with when it all burns down.
Yeah, and it's, like the NFL, the players at National Football League, the players call it not for long. And when you look at motocross, and especially this year when I was talking to Beaker about, I'm like, have you seen this many injuries? Like, no. It's like, and that's the thing with motocross. It's so gnarly. It's like, I'll give you some perspective. So with MMA, UFC, NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer, golf, you name it, all these different sports that I work with, there's two sports that every athlete identifies as like the gnarliest, like from a physical standpoint. Number one is motocross. Number two, believe it or not, is surfing, because of the water element. People are scared of drowning. I mean, I know that's anecdotal information, but that's like coming from some top men and women.
Yeah.
And like, look at how many people got lit up this year. And then it's like, then you got the really catastrophic injuries like Jerry Robin this year. And like, you had Jimmy Button on and his whole story. And like, I give Anita and Jimmy so much credit for having that Road to Recovery Foundation, because it can happen in a nanosecond. And it's like, it's literally the love of the game. And those riders are willing to take that risk, and they're acclimated. They've been doing it since they were kids. But it's like, it's foolish to think like there's not like a risk. I don't want them to focus on it too much, but I will say this: motocross is some of the gnarliest athletes on the planet, hands down. Not just my own opinion, but from, some
Other
other athletes.
Yeah. What's the balance there? Like, how is that danger and risk element even come up with guys in practice?
Well, it's interesting because practice is more controlled.
I mean, in like therapy practice.
Oh, therapy practice.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, that you talk about mastery in their craft. Like, they're good at it.
Yeah.
They understand the risk. They don't think it's going to happen
to them.
Yeah. And that's just, I guess that is something that you kind of have to have, because if you were focused so much on the alternative, which is very real and very scary, I don't think anyone would race.
Yeah. Yeah. That must be a very hard line to walk. Like I'm assuming it's probably not even something that comes up that much.
No, it doesn't come up. It doesn't come up until they're injured.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to Cole Davies. Like, he was in qualies and just got pancaked.
Yeah.
Like, that was fucking gnarly.
So bad.
It was so crazy.
So bad.
And some people, you know, they can learn how to turn that off, but it's like you go into the realm of like PTSD type stuff. And coming back from injury for any athlete is a process. And I walk the line very, very gently with them, because it's very strange. We've got short-term memory and long-term memory, and then we've got our little trauma box file in the back of our brain. And how it works is those trauma files get stored. And our brain, unbeknownst to us, it could be a sight, a sound, a smell, a similar environment where a trauma occurred. And it doesn't matter if it's minor or major. Trauma's trauma. And if that gets triggered, it floors people and makes them very apprehensive about getting back in the ring, getting back on the bike, getting back, you know, putting on the pads, whatever. And that's one of those things that you know, people really, that's where I think psychology really shines with athletes, is to be able to like sit there and process that stuff. Because, you know, out of the 8 consistent riders that I work with, I think throughout this year, there were like 2 of them racing out of the 8 because all of them were injured.
Yeah.
And, you know, they came back and they had their certain race leading up to it. And I couldn't tell them like, dude, you're not ready. Like, I'm feeling good and this, that, and the other. Like, I'm ready. And then they get out there and it's like the cortisol kicks in, the adrenaline, and then they're thinking about like, well, I'm not hitting my line here. And they're not. That's the difference between elite and the flow state, what everyone talks about, and everyone else. It's like, can you perform and do it just, you know, just by feel, by braille, because you've mastered it. You don't have to think about it. And coming back from injury, all these thoughts start to creep in, and it's wild.
So to talk about flow state, like what's your take on that as a concept as a whole, like scientifically, holistically?
It's something that, you know, you talk about goals, like you get in the zone and there's some days where you're just on, and that's what everyone strives for. And one rider was like, oh, you know, they got third, they podium, and they're like, oh, only podium. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, your bad day got you on the podium. Let's reframe that and look at that. And they're like, oh, okay. But the flow state, the zone, it's a real thing. And how you train and prepare helps set you up for success and the probability of getting there. There's the physical components, but what you said in the beginning of the conversation is like, how mental is it? It's so mental. I mean, you had Tomac on here and he's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's all mental. Like, you have to think that you're the man. And I was watching it, I was going, yeah, that's true. But like, there's so many more things. And the thing that I do with athletes is like, do things with intention. Like, learn how to train and train hard, and flip that switch on to be able to get in the activation phase and get yourself primed and get yourself ready. Because nothing's going to mimic completely like a race.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, you have to train even harder to be able to make the races almost easier.
Yeah.
And I heard Jett say something like, because he's just been, I mean, let's be honest, he's just been crushing it.
Ridiculous.
Like, bonkers. And he's like, yeah, I wasn't even really trying. And that's kind of the flow state. And the other aspect is every rider that gets out in front, they always say it's easier because they got clear track. I mean, obviously you got lappers and stuff like that, but if you get a bad start and you're just getting plastered, that's no fun.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get in a flow state when you're just getting blasted like by shotgun rocks, you know. Right.
And then if you have a bad start, like, what's going on between your ears?
Yeah, it just triggers the thoughts and
it just like the adrenaline, and it's like you you get out of your plan. And so part of like performance psychology is it's stress inoculation.
Mm.
And it's like, all right, that happened. Don't react. Stick to the game plan. So you start worrying about who cut you off, or you're in back of the pack. You're worrying about result, and you're thinking.
Yeah, what did I get in first moto? What's this going to do for my overall?
Totally.
Yeah.
And those I've had those conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, knock it off. You know, it's easier said than done. But, you know, when it comes to performance and transparency, it's like, did you do everything that you could to prep yourself for the race? Yeah, those boxes are checked. Did you go out and perform and give your best effort? Absolutely. Job done. Job done. You know, I'm more impressed by effort than I am about results.
Yeah.
And I'll give you like, you know, the battle of the 450s and super between like Webb and Chase. And it's like Chase got second and was like, oh, he didn't win. Dude, he was off the charts great. And Utah, when he smoked everyone, like that's performance.
Yeah.
And you talk about flow state, like, you know, before, you know, it's like Malcolm Stewart in Daytona, or, you know, was it Daytona? Tampa. It's like, that was such a feel-good story.
Yeah.
And do you think he's trying to get after that and get there again?
Yeah.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Because once you get a taste that, you know, it's like, you know, winning is hard in any professional sport. I don't care what it is. But once you get a taste of it and you've got kind of a blueprint, like then that alpha comes out and that's what you're chasing.
So what do you think, or have you spent much time thinking about what's happening at the level of the brain when it comes to being in that flow state?
Yeah, I mean, I think about it constantly, and you know, everyone's different. Everyone's different, but there's a lot of similarities, and the constant thing is like, I'm just there, I'm present, and I'm focused, and it's like you're hitting your marks. You know, you don't care who's around you because you know you're in that space, and if you like, my big thing is mind relaxed, body activated. Like, let your body do the work. Don't be emotional out there.
Yeah.
That's what I try and really stress on athletes I work with, and just everyday folks as well. It's like, hey, if you can train your body to do this, do you have the ability to train your mind to do the same? And the answer is yes. It can definitely happen, but there's a multiple of factors, and the number one is emotional reactivity.
So do you think that from a biological and like neurological level, do you think that peak performance is tied to flow state because you don't have a certain layer of like cognitive interpretation happening? And so as a result, like you would have a finite amount of brain processing power, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 0% to internal monologue, dialogue, then you're giving more resources to the actual like physical functioning of your brain. Like, is that like an oversimplified way of saying like why people perform better in that flow state?
Well, it's, you know, every athlete has that day. And I don't think it's an oversimplification. I think it's just a reasonable way. It's like, you know, you don't have to think. Your arm can control the ball. Like, you look at Jett and Haiden in particular this year in the 450 and 250, it's like their bike looks like an extension of their body. They're not fighting it. They're flowing with it. And like, they're not thinking. They're just doing. And I know it's like, it may sound a little too obvious, but when you break it down and simplify it, it's like, keep it simple. I mean, are you hitting your marks? Are you hitting the right pitch? Are you staying off the clutch and all these things? It's like, in terms of like flow, that just comes easy. And like when you tap into that zone, is there any better feeling?
Mm-mm.
And we're seeing it, like, you know, and we're seeing it, people see it with Jett and people see it with Haiden, but I'm also seeing it with people in the back that are making moves that don't get talked about. And to me, like, I look for that stuff and it's like, well, I didn't win. Okay, well, how did you perform?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I was just flowing. It's like, yeah, because you weren't thinking.
So what do you think about the self in like the Eastern interpretation of it?
Well, that's, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but it's like, it's more important is what is your interpretation of that? And what is an individual's interpretation of it? Because it's like my interpretation could be completely different from someone else's. But if that gives them strength and gives them comfort and calmness, who am I gonna like be?
Yeah.
I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but it's like, what does it mean to you? Because everyone doesn't do things the same way. I mean, training wise and this, that, and the other, but you know, when we get back into the personality aspect, it's like, you know, someone would be like, that's a bunch of nonsense. And then for someone else, they would gravitate towards it and they would really embrace it. So it's like, it's a case by case thing, not to wiggle out of the question. But
Yeah. Because I think, I guess I've spent a lot of time thinking about that and studying and reading and a lot of time meditating on those things. And I think that there's I definitely think there's a there when it comes to that, you know, like, and there's like some pretty deep questions that you can ask yourself around just like ask yourself, what is yourself? Yeah. What is that? And, you know, if you really sit and look at that, that is the internal monologue that you have with yourself.
Yeah.
And that is what a thought is.
Yeah.
And so much of what we're doing 24 hours a day almost is thinking without even knowing that we are thinking. So there's just this monologue that's going at all times. That's fucking how much coffees I got. Fucking, should I have another coffee? I've had 2 coffees today. Fuck. What time did we start the thing? Okay, so then, all right, and it's just running and it's running and it's running. And there's so few times where, like, and if you don't even know that that's a thing, and if you don't know that's a thing that you should be looking for, or that thing actually has implications on your life, because the quality of your mind controls the quality of your life.
Agreed.
You can be I love this analogy of you've got 2 identical twins, right? Physiologically the exact same person. They both walk into the gym to do a leg day together. Twin A is fucking hyped and he's stoked. He's going to get his gains and he just wants to feel the pain because he knows that the muscles are going to repair themselves. And twin B can't fucking wait to get out of there. And he's only there because his brother's making him do it. And he doesn't want to fall onto the toilet when he has a shit. And he doesn't want to deal with the pain. He doesn't want to stretch. He doesn't want to feel tight. So it's the 2 exact same physiological pain that they're both going to experience, but their thoughts around it.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more than the conversation that they have with themselves about the thing that determines their outlook on that situation. And so now apply that to everything
we're getting deeper.
You know, like apply that to everything in your life. Like there is that conversation that persists and you can notice it. And then in 5 seconds, you've stopped noticing it,
right,
but it's still going. And if you don't re-notice it and the thoughts and the conversation turns dark and turns glass half empty and turns negative and turns victim-y and why me, and then you're just on a fucking train and you don't have a way of getting off it, you know? And I think like it's something I've thought about a lot because we just had like traumatic parts of our life when we were growing up, you know? And two wheels was the thing that I went towards.
Yeah.
Just naturally gravitated towards it. I wasn't the best rider. It wasn't like I was ever going to be pro, but that was the place. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized, like, you go there because that voice stops. The voice that you don't have any control over, when you're in that zone, it sort of shuts down. And without even knowing it, like, there's an obvious good that comes from that. It's like respite from this kind of thing that's just always running in the background. And then you do that thing, it kind of goes away. Then there's like a bit of a half-life of that activity where like it kind of affects the way that you think. But then over time, the pattern, like that motor gets going again, and then you fucking need another ride. I need to go. And, some people have drugs. Some people have food. Some people have video games. Some people have porn. Some people, like, everyone has these things that we gravitate towards to, like, stop that process, even if it's just for a little bit. And I think that there's such a knot that can be untangled by, like, really putting some time into thinking about that. And I think that in terms of performance, you get these guys, like, I look at Jett, and I know him personally. I've known him for a very long time. And he's just like the fucking happiest, nicest, most carefree. He's light. He's not heavy in any way, and that translates. Like, he's just gifted. I would love to be inside his head for like 5 minutes just to like see what it's like in there in terms of like, what's the conversation? Like, is there that much of a conversation? Like, I know at least for me, it's like 24/7, that shit's fucking running. And it took me like years of trying to change that in a sense, but so I look at a guy like that, and you have this dude that spent his whole life trying to get better at this one sport and put in just thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. And he's got this brilliant support network around him. His brother's doing it right there with him. And because of this light attitude and this light personality that he has, it looks to me like he can just enter that flow state where there's no thoughts, there's no distractions. And at least I kind of equate that with like, you're just taking all of this brain activity and you're like putting it into the background, and then it is instinct and it is repetition, and then it just becomes a physical pursuit, and then that feels good. So you just it's just like this positive reinforcement.
Totally.
And
I've been very lucky to where I've worked with some special ops guys, like Navy SEALs. And the one thing that I learned from them about getting into whatever state is that the thing that they do is that they train, and then they train, and then they train, and they overtrain, and they train more, and they train until they remove the emotion out of it. And so,
or the need for thinking.
Yeah. And so they're hammers, and they execute, and there's a plan, and they do not deviate from it. And that can be applied to athletics. And so it's like, if you can train and train and train and train and build the confidence, you can go out and you can do it, and you can get results. But like, what do you think the biggest killer of confidence is? And I've asked this question of every athlete I've ever worked with for the past 20 years.
Self-doubt. You nailed it.
A lot of people don't get it. But self-doubt, and like, you think about people coming back from injury, or you think about a rookie, and it's like you graduate from futures and you're going up against, people that you look up to, or you graduate from 250 to 450. It's like, that's heavy. And I don't care what sport you're in. It's like you're playing, your heroes are now your peers. And what is going through that person's brain? It's like, and it's like there's a lot of chirping and stuff in a lot of sports, and it's, psychological warfare, and some people can handle it and some people can't. It's kind of interesting.
Now, if you're looking for the coolest and most durable gloves for your next ride, you've got to check out Fist Handwear. They have an incredible range of gloves for every condition, from hot weather to cold, and even specialized options for motocross, BMX, road, and workwear. What I love about Fist is their unique designs, whether it's hula girl skulls or logos from top athletes. They've got something that stands out, whatever your taste. Plus, their gloves are built to last, offering comfort and protection in all conditions. And it's not just gloves. Fist Handwear also offers a variety of apparel and accessories like moto socks, which I love, tees, hoodies, and hats. With free shipping USA wide, there is no reason not to gear up with the best. I haven't used any other gloves for over a decade, and I don't plan on switching. Do yourself a favor and get yourself a pair. Join Fist Army today by visiting fisthandwear.co and explore their full range. So there's one guy in the sport that's pretty good with psychological warfare.
Yes.
What do you, as a psychologist, what do you think that is?
It's confidence. And he can pretty much say whatever he wants right now. Because when you look at any sport, it's like you can get away with everything if you're backing it up. And that guy's backing it up. And do I recommend it? No, I think it's kind of a waste of energy, to be honest. And some of it is cultural, and some people are taking stuff from boxing and UFC. But like, he needs conflict. He needs, and let's get into personality here.
Yeah.
Like, he thrives off of friction, and some people need that. And that, you talk about Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, and it's like they're gonna chirp and they're gonna back it up, and that's what fuels them. And I know a couple people that I've spoken to that he's gone after, and I'm just like, well, like, play chess, not checkers with this guy. Just he's getting you off your game, and it is that warfare piece. And I Chance was on here. And I thought his response was really, really great and honest. It's like, I don't like him. But I respect him. And I don't disagree with that statement at all. But like, Haiden it's really funny because people, you talk about regular folks and they tune in and they hear the name Haiden and like, he's the biggest name in the sport. People that don't like him and he thrives off of that. And they want to know what he's going to do next. And the people that love him, the same thing. It's like, what is he going to do next? And it's just, it's really interesting how he goes about it. And I think it's like, hey, Brian's a good guy. I know people that know him and stuff. And he was brash, and he had to be. Metal Militia and the stuff that they did. Like, you have to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And some people, from a personality standpoint, they need controversy. They need conflict.
Yeah. So what is that on a personality psychological level?
Okay. So let's get into that. So the instrument that I use is called the NEOS, and it takes about 30 minutes to fill out, and it examines the big 5 personality factors. And so the acronym is OCEAN. So the first one is openness, like openness to experience, newness. The second C is conscientiousness, like considerate of others, so on and so forth. And then the one where you see with athletes is extroversion. And it's like, with someone like him, it'd be very high and high. And then the next one would be agreeableness, which I think would be really low. He's going to do it his way no matter what. And you see that in a lot of individual sports.
Yeah.
Like, and then the last one is neuroticism, which is another word for anxiety. And so,
is neuroticism not just like thinking, like how much a person thinks, or is it tied more to anxiety?
It's tied more to anxiety.
Could you explain it a bit more to me?
Yeah, there's where, like, for instance, like you, from a personality standpoint, I asked you, were you nervous the first time you did a podcast? What did you say?
No.
No. So you, on that neuroticism level, you would be relatively low, which would be a great trait in athletics, because then you're not getting, fired up and like need controversy. It's like, you're just going to go do your job. And then there's some people that on the extreme end of anxiety where they're overthinking.
Yeah.
And they're scared and they're worried. And basically anxiety is your autonomic system on overload. And that's essentially what a panic attack is.
Yeah.
And so, how I explain if someone's never had a panic attack, it's like, you're in an airplane and there's turbulence and it feels real scary for most people. And some people, probably like you, don't care.
I don't care about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But in our society, the two biggest anxious fears, are public speaking and the fear of flying.
Huh.
And so what I term anxiety, if no one's ever felt it for the first time and that it comes on, it's emotional turbulence. It feels really scary. And that's kind of an essential with like the PTSD thing. Like you get triggered and you're unaware of it, but your body's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess I just always thought neuroticism was a bit more focused around like that internal monologue, overthinking time.
Well,
in a sense.
But it is tied to it. But you think about it, is if someone is high anxiety, what do you think their thinking is going to be?
Yeah, mostly like negative.
Catastrophic.
Stressful. Yeah.
And so the cool thing is, like, for me with the Neos and the Big Five, it's kind of a blueprint.
Yeah.
And like personally, I have 4 goats in different sports, and I have their personality inventories, and they are very high on extroversion, and they usually are very low on agreeableness.
Yeah.
And anxiety, believe it or not, it differentiates a little bit, but like some people that you wouldn't think that are calm, cool, and collected, really they show a lot of high anxiety.
I actually know a couple of people. Well, like, okay, there's a friend of mine. He's like one of the best ever in a sport, right?
Yeah, right.
Fucking train wreck. Like the level of anxiety,
Yeah.
and stress, and I mean, he was one of the best ever, and it ruined his career. Yeah. And he was still one of the best ever, And so I think that there's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. Like I'm sure that if you could draw up a personality, like you would probably have a pretty good idea after all these years of practice of like what's a really like a desirable ocean graph to have.
Yeah.
But it is not at all restricted to or limited to those things, because some people's anxiety can drive them to the top, or they can have such a hectic fear of losing that they win. But it's the sustainability piece, I think, that is kind of tied there,
Yeah, and it's I had this recently. It was just this one really young female athlete, and she's been killing it, just absolutely destroying. And I'm being vague on purpose because I don't.
Yeah,
I'm confidential and everything, but she had this huge event coming up at a location where she said, "I've never done well there," blah blah blah, and she started having kind of more explosive, getting angry at her parent and getting angry at her coach because she was so scared she was going to lose. So what was she thinking about? Was she thinking about performance, or was she thinking about the result?
Yeah, outcome. Yeah.
And so I only had a couple of months, like 3 months with her, but it's like we just stripped it down. And I was just like, as long as you are walking and breathing, you are in the fight. And like you can win. But I don't care about that. What I care about is your preparation leading up to it, which she felt prepared. She felt confident. And regardless of the outcome, she knew that she put in all the work and she did everything you could. Would it sting? Yeah, absolutely. But doing things out of fear, like some people, it works. And like I was a product of that. Like no one knew this, but like in surfing and college soccer, like I was an enforcer. I didn't talk to people, but my teammates didn't know. I was like so anxious. I didn't want to make a mistake. And there's a lot of reasons that I won't go into for that, but it's like I played out of fear, and that's one thing that I wish I could go back and not do. So from a personal standpoint, I get that, but like, you know, when you're talking about a personality inventory, it's like there are people, like everyone wants to know what the greats, what are they like, what do they do, and I've got 4 of them. You know, they'll be on Mount Rushmore for their sport in particular. And so then I take, you know, like I could take your personality inventory and I could compare and contrast and see like, okay, this is where you line up with them. Some people, like, it comes out on a piece of paper and you've got all these bullet points. And the real high one and real low one are the extremes. And then you get some people that are very kind of bland and vanilla and this, that, and the other. Doesn't mean they're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
But when you see those extremes, then you like, those usually are the individuals that are the alphas and the wolves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because they are very extreme in like one particular lane.
Yeah.
And then when you apply that extreme nature to something, you can kind of get quite extreme results in a sense.
Yeah, and I can speak openly because he gave me permission. But you know, in the world of surfing, have you heard of the Eddie Aikau event?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so this year he was born and bred North Shore, Oahu. His dad's Liam McNamara, and was a pipe guy. But Landon McNamara, we're doing an article, and I asked him if he would take a Neos and do it, and he's like, yeah, totally. So we did it. I happened to be in Oahu and we went through it, and he's like, holy crap, this explains everything. And he's like, is there anyone else like this? And he happens to be a really talented musician. I said, yeah, there's a guy in rock and roll. I can't tell you who he is, but you are exactly like him, like almost to a T. And he's like, I'm going to couples therapy. Can I bring this with me? It's all yours, buddy.
That's awesome, eh?
It's cool. And it's a tool of self-reflection, and it shows you your strengths and, you know, what could be interpreted as weaknesses, but it's like, it's a tool of information.
Yeah.
And like, there's one guy in your sport, in our sport, moto, that laid back, cruisy, this, that, and the other. And I did a Neos on him, and it was like, he hit really high on anxiety. And I was like, hey man, tell me about this piece. Like, and he went into it, and he didn't want anyone to know because he thought it was a weakness. And it was like, hey, let's educate you on this. It's not a weakness. It's part of you.
Yeah.
Don't run from it. Embrace it. Like, it doesn't work. May not seem like it's a big deal because you've mastered it and people don't know it. That's great. But in your personal life, and it's like, oh yeah, his girlfriend, he's like, yeah, she knows this about me. She hates it. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. It's, I think that's like one of the most beneficial things about therapy, right? I think when you can look back at your life with like honest reflection, you also can kind of see how much of things just happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite powerful to learn and understand. And I think like a lot of people's trauma in their life comes from their parents. And a lot of parents' trauma comes from their parents, and a lot of so I think that if you can really dig in, like my wife, she grew up in Russia, pretty fucking hard, brutal upbringing, you know, and then like she's got a great relationship with her mum, but there was a lot there, you know, and like you go through those things, and then it's like you know, you're talking about the relationship with your mum and with your dad, and then it goes to like, oh, what was your mum's relationship with your mum? And then you kind of can get a bit of a zoomed out perspective, and you can be like, fuck, this just kind of happened. And a lot of this was going to happen, whether it was me that was born, another person that like, there's a really long chain here that kind of makes these things the way that they are. And like, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't even her fault. It wasn't her fault. Like, You know, there's just this massive chain of events and everyone's kind of just doing the best that they can, you know?
Well, there's a technical term for that. It's called the multi-generational transmission process. And it's like literally, you know, we're going back here. You got my brain all fired up. I'm thinking too much.
Let's do it.
But, you know, you think back about like the parent thing, like, and I asked this of people in my private clinical practice. It's like, what's most important, your relationship with your spouse or your relationship with your child? And it's like, oh, you know, it's my child and everything. No. It's the relationship with your spouse, because you're going to model what love looks like. You're going to model how to resolve conflicts, how to treat a man, how to treat a woman.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to make your child feel safe? And that's one thing that, you know, I've done personally I've got 3 boys and my wife. It's like, they say bye to mom before they leave the house, regardless. And whenever we can, we greet, we fist bump, you know, my wife goes and hugs and kisses them before they leave. And they, you know, I got 2 teenagers, but it's like, the reality is it makes them feel safe. Because if something hits the fan, they know mom and dad have their back. And I know you know this as well, but like, not only in moto, but also in so many sports, there's the old cliche of the parent problem. And it's so, it baffles me.
Breaks my heart.
It really does.
I know of some terrible shit.
No, I hear it, man. I hear it. And you go back to like the variables that affect athletes the most. And like I say, it's anecdotal from my standpoint, but it's romantic relationships and then it's family. And you got these young kids that, you know, they have a dad that might be cold, and then they turn into like this Ricky Bobby thing. Like, well, if you're not first, you're last. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. You ruin kids and you ruin relationships and you ruin their future relationships. That's why the human element, I think, is so lost in the sports psych realm. And that's why I do things differently. I mean, you've seen it, Jace. It's gnarly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I had a conversation with a writer, and they were talking about the relationship with the parents, this, that, and the other. And then I said, well, like, your parents, like, they never hug in front of you, like when you're a kid? And he's like, I saw them hold hands once. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then if they don't do well, then the parent comes in and just blows them up. And I know you've seen it.
Everyone's seen it. Yeah. Literally everyone that's listening to this is like, yeah. That's just kind of how it goes. It's so crazy, dude.
You want to talk about a complete destruction and mental mindfuck. That's bad.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's crazy. I mean, it's just such a weird sport, right? Because you look at like college, and so I feel like it's the same in surfing. I feel like it's like individual.
Every sport.
Snowboarding.
Everything.
But I feel like team sports, you don't have it as much.
True.
Because you go to college.
Yeah.
And your dad doesn't go with you, and you're left to your own devices. And then it's probably dangerous in another sense, because you kind of can get veered off course, and there's kind of no one there to course correct, or like there's no one micromanaging. But it's like the parent's job should be to arm the kid with enough knowledge and resources to make the right decisions by the time they get to that point in their life.
Well, the what the research says on that is like, you've really can, like, what's the most important piece of a house? It's the foundation. And so you've got what research says until about age 16 to really build that foundation. And not that your kids won't ever stop learning and stuff, but it's like 0 to 16 is incredibly important. And if you've got some kid that is on to stardom and they don't start doing well and their parent kind of shuns them or goes after them, it's like, what is that going to do to that poor kid's psyche? It just, it hurts. And, there's a doctoral student that actually did this longitudinal study where a kid that played at a high level or performed at a high level at a young age, that by the time they got to 18, they were over it. They were done. They were burnt out. And they weren't having fun. And the parents are driving that.
Yeah, it's so sad, man. It's so crazy to watch. But you think so you have a kid that gets a scholarship to play football in college and then he goes away and there's head coaches, there's strength and conditioning, there's physios, there's doctors, there's teachers, there's a lot of people around that person that can they continue their development and they're institutionally there for that reason as much as they are to make them good football players, But we have this sport where, and a lot of individual sports are like this, skating, snowboarding, surfing.
Surf, skate, snow, moto for sure.
All of that shit is like this. It's mum and dad are like, this kid's got talent. We're pulling him out of school. He's now joining a training group and he's going to be at Parlour Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Glen Helen on Thursday. And this is what he's doing. And dad's going to be the manager. Dad's going to do the sponsors. And a lot of the money that you're going to win is going to go towards you racing. And it's like a business that these dads are running and the kids inadvertently become a commodity. And then dad's got to quit his job because the racing's too much. So now he's invested in, it's a fucking shit show, dude.
And there's so many stories from so many other sports. And yet people keep doing it,
man.
And I appreciate what you just said very much because, one of the reasons I'm here is because of Beaker and Jacob and Carlos at Wasserman and my riders as well. Cause one guy said it to me 2 weeks ago. He's like, man, I wish I would have known about you a long time ago. I said, yeah, I get it, but I'm here now. So if we're going to invest a physio, a nutritionist, they've got mechanics, they got people around them. What I do with agents is because they take on what's known as a dual relationship. They become the ear, they become the confidant, and then it muddles their relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what is
because they're having to do therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's then they're almost too close. And that's the difference with my job is there's people I work with that I would love to be friends with. They'd be great. But I'm not there to be their friend.
Yeah.
I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Be a pro, not a bro.
It's that was one of the questions I actually wanted to ask you. It's cool you say that. So I feel like in this world, if someone came to me and they're like, Jason, I want to talk to you for an hour, I probably could talk to that person. I could probably give them some advice and I've read some books and I've had some life experience. I could probably try and help that person. But I'm not a fucking psychologist. I haven't done the degrees. I haven't. And how many people out there think that because they've done X, Y, and Z in their life and because they're a cool, chill guy, that they can take people's money and be a life coach, there's a very clear framework that when you practice and you get certified, there's a moral code, there's an ethical code, there's guidelines, there's very, very clear guardrails. With our therapist that came up, it was Christmas. We're we'd want to get you something for Christmas, what do you drink or what? And she's like, no, I just can't. Yeah. I can't. It's not how this works. She's like, I can give you a quick hug, but that's it.
Yeah.
Then there has to be these boundaries for it to work. But that's one of the best things about somebody that's gone through the process and has the real qualifications is because I do think those boundaries are very important.
No, that is the cornerstone of what I do. I mean, look, I have very personal, I don't mean this in a physical standpoint, but intimate conversations, dark, deep stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a certain like bond that you establish with the patient, which is, and it was on my licensing exam, like regardless of therapeutic modality, what's the most important thing in a therapeutic relationship? It's rapport.
Mm.
And so
Yeah,
like,
trust, I'd say.
yeah, it's the same word, same smell,
Yeah.
different aroma.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people, like, for instance, I had a guy win a gold medal, you know, in one of the Olympics. I won't say which one. And the whole team thanked me, and like he thanked me, and this, that, and the other. I said, dude, look, you're driving the bus.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what street to go down every once in a while. This is teamwork. This is collaborative.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of sports psychs that go out and talk about what they did for their client. I'm like, you've never done that sport. How can you claim that?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and getting back to like the parental thing, it's like, unless you've been racing 250s and 450s, be a mom, be a dad.
Yeah, well, I think the unfortunate thing for a lot of these parents is there's two things, I think. There's like an element of just genuine, like they're just gripping the wheel as hard as they can because like they know what's best for their kid and they want their kids back and they don't want to have anyone else influence them. So there's like an element of control that's coming out of a genuine like love and want for that person to do well, right? And you can't, it might be misguided, it might be too much, it might be overbearing, it might be harmful, but the intention of it is quite pure. And then I think that's something to unravel. But then I also think that there's a very dark expression of that, which is that they're living through their
Vicariously
child.
through their kid. Yeah, that happens all the time.
And they want to feel as a part of the success as much as it's them on the bike. And that's very, very dark and very toxic. And that's not a thing that is easily, I guess, like you can't really get rid of that.
Oh, and then it goes back to the fame piece. It's like you all of a sudden you got some notoriety. Oh yeah, you're so-and-so's parent. That's your kid. And parents get a little threatened by me.
For sure, bro, because they lose control.
Yeah.
100%.
But the what I say to parents is like, look, I've got 3 boys. And if someone's going to send their kid, I don't care if it's like a school-age kid from the school down the street or it's an elite athlete that's in their teens or early 20s, I'm going to treat them the way I would want someone to treat my own kid. And that kind of relaxes the situation. But yeah, there is, it's funny when I get a wife or a husband, in particular a wife that comes in and sees me individually, I said, hey, your husband's going to ask you, like, what'd you guys talk about? It's like 100% has happened every time. And it's like, because it's like, it kind of comes off as a threat. But what I try and do is really front load is like, look, I'm a professional, and not to sound arrogant or anything like that, but like I've worked with some of the best athletes in the world. I've been trained by some of the best psychologists in the nation. Like I know what I'm doing. I can sit in a room with anybody, and I don't care who you are or your status. It's like you still gotta sit down and take a crap like everyone else.
Yeah. What should young athletes do if they're like in a situation where their parents are either one of those things? Like how hard is that to deal with?
It's really difficult, and like I said, I get fired for it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, but my job is to not tell them what they want to hear. I am not a yes man. That is not my job. I know how to say it in an eloquent and respectful way. And, it's up to them to either acknowledge it or not. I mean, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, the agents are like, I can't believe you said that. I've been wanting to say that for years. I said, yeah, but they're not going to see me for a while because I hit a nerve. And I even preface it with like, you're not going to want to hear this, but that's just part of the process and the situation. But you know, I have friends that are high school teachers and they have to deal with parents. And I have friends that are professors at universities and they don't have to deal with the parents.
Yeah.
And I don't want to vilify parents. Like, you know, it's like some people are going to get pissed off when they hear this, but it's like, if you're having that emotional reaction, like what can you got to ask yourself, like, what can you do better? Like, and I ask this as athletes and parents, like, what are you doing? What are you not doing that you should be doing? And like reasonable people, they know the difference between right and wrong. But then there's some people that are so wrapped up in everything, like you mentioned, that's like, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. And that's heartbreaking. That's rough.
Yeah, because there's definitely like some people in the sport. I got like one in particular just because I like know a lot, where I'm just like, you're just ruining your kid's life.
Yeah.
Like I can literally just see in the person that you're ruining your kid's life. And you've got a guy that could be great and he's a fucking train wreck. And it's like literally because of incredibly bad parenting.
Well, and you know, go back to the two variables, like family, absolutely. It's like, I wouldn't say it's second, but it's like 1.5 or 1.3 behind number one, which is romantic relationships. And I was having this conversation with a guy and I was like, dude, you got great parents. You have a great partner. Like, dude, you're having a massive advantage. And he's like, oh yeah, like so-and-so was supposed to be so good, but he keeps dating nightmares and train wrecks and this, that, and the other. And it's like, he told me that. I was like, yeah, you're right. That's how important like that issue or the topic of balance is. And it's like, you know, the general rule of thumb is in your dating years, go out, have fun, try not to take it too seriously. But at the end of the day, you want to, you know, I say this to women and men, date crazy, but marry stable and nice. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're going to go through a lot more in life than what you're going through right now.
It's, it's wild, the perspective shift of like what's important in dating versus what's important in marriage. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's a saying that Naval Ravikant says, and he says, play long-term games with long-term people.
Yeah.
And yeah, getting married is by definition extremely long-term. So you need like a person that you can do that game with over a very long period of time. It's funny, like even like I'd say this to people, like I'd say this to my wife, I'm like, there's like so much stuff, not so much, but there's stuff where I'm like, I just don't like that you do. But there's stuff that it's so on the surface. But then when it's like the real shit that matters, I'm like, we're lockstep, walking in line. So it's like, that's the stuff that's at the bottom, the deeper shit, that has to be in line. So much other stuff really doesn't even matter. Like you just don't have to be as aligned on the surface as I think people think you do. There's like these really deep things that if you're lined up on that, you can pretty much make it work with anything else.
Yeah, and it's really what you're saying is like it comes down to perspective. And I think you know what you're describing is like romantic relationships and even professional athletes and their relationship with their sport. It's like you got to take the good with the bad. And I, you know, when it comes to relationships, I said, look, like I'm not perfect. I drive my wife nuts with stuff I do, and vice versa.
I'm a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, but I say, look, like I'm a VIP in her world, and like I get access to things that no one else does, and that's the respect factor that I have, you know, for my wife and for my kids. It's like, you know, my kids, I'm the dumb old dad and this, that, and the other, but it's like, when it comes down to it, they know I got their back. And like with athletes and their sport, you hear this catchphrase all the time. You have to learn the stuff that you hate. You have to learn how to love it. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, dude, I'll go out and jump on your 250 and make a fool of myself. You want to come do my job? Like, you do fun stuff. Like, enjoy it.
Yeah, have some perspective around what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, it's so intense and it's so cutthroat and there's contracts and everything, but people lose fun. They lose fun. And like, that is one of the biggest things that I try and remind athletes, and I try and remind young athletes, seasoned vets, everything. Like, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the fame? Are you doing it for the money, this, that, and the other? It's like, that's not why you got into this. That's not why you jumped on two wheels. Like, you fell in love with something, and it's like, treat it with respect.
So much of just the sessions that you're having with guys is just like really trying to ground them in like the right perspective and wanting the right things.
Yeah, and based on some of their personality characteristics, some are going to lean very hard to anxiety, and then some are going to lean very hard to anger. And it's like, whoa, let's back that up, because you're expending a lot of energy here. And it's like, you're not thinking about performance. Granted, I know they need to vent, they need to process it and get it out. But then it's like letting them do that and be able to reframe some situations, or just like let them go on a bender and just get it out. You know, because it's hard, it's frustrating. I mean, being under the spotlight, it's like people don't see the work and everything that happens behind the scenes. They just see the victories and the posters and, you know, the fireworks going off before the races. It's like, they don't realize the other, you know, 90% of what these people do. And they have personal lives. And no one knows what's going on with them. I mean, you've developed relationships and you have a lot of respect from the riders, and they let you in and you see it. And it's not as glamorous as people think.
Dude, I just don't know. I just don't even know how they do the flying to 31 races. Like, just before the racing or the training, like, I would not be able to do that schedule to go to every single one of those events. Like, what they do is pretty wild.
Wild is an understatement. I think, you know, to go from Supercross to outdoors, and the physical and mental strain that their body goes through in combination, it's like, my hat's off. Like, I have so much respect for moto guys, and I'm not just like trying to incur favor. It's like, it's gnarly. And then throw in the factor of like, you can get really, really hurt, but it's like, you love something, they're willing to take the risk.
Yeah, and I think that there's also like an element of it's all they know. Like,
True.
Because to get to that point in your career where you have that level of mastery, you've had to just say no to so much else in your life, and there's like an opportunity cost as a result.
Absolutely. And I reframe that as far as like, you're going to have to be selfish in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You're going to have to say no. And one guy in particular is coming back from injury, and in his class, like, he's a threat. He's an absolute threat. I said, look, you need to have the conversation. Like, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be committed. And when I'm done and when I have days off, you have my undivided attention. And it's improved his relationship significantly. But, you know, it's like, there is a lot of selfishness, not only with athletes, but people in entertainment. And when you get notoriety, then the press and interviews and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I'm telling you, man, it just is not as glamorous as people think it is. Yeah. Being in the spotlight and being under the microscope, it's brutal sometimes. And the really grounded and balanced and healthy people navigate it through it pretty darn well. And that's part of what I try and cultivate with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, couple things to like jump off there, I guess. Yeah, I think the selfishness thing, have you encountered athletes it's funny when you like talking about this. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, I feel like I'm a therapist for athletes at times, like with some of the conversations I'm having.
But that you have that rapport, you have that trust.
And a lot of it's off camera stuff. Like, most of it's off camera stuff, you know. But like, I got a friend, and it's the same guy that's retired, but when he was in his career, there would be like, and he's like one of my best friends, you know, like we talk all the time. But there'd be times in his career where it'd be like 3 months and I wouldn't hear from him. And then I'd call and he'd answer and he'd be like, I'm so sorry, bro. And I'm like, dude, you can be selfish. Like, this isn't going to last forever. You're in a gnarly sport. Just go in, all in. Yeah. Just be selfish. Like, athletes end up living in this weird reality where their selfishness is celebrated because that's what makes them results.
Great. Yeah, that's what makes them great.
But I think they get fucked up when selfishness isn't their nature. So when you get an extremely, that's that personality type. But so this guy that I'm talking about is extremely kind, just such a nice person. And so that level of selfishness was hard for him to get to.
Totally.
And I think that was like a very big struggle that he had throughout his career, was feeling like he was pushing other people away to like maintain that level of selfishness when everyone was just celebrating it, like, fucking do your thing, bro. Like, get the dog, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the one good thing about like Rob Machado, for instance, like, he's an icon of the sport and a pipe master and all this, that, and the other. But I know him as Rob, and I see how other people look at him. And one time we were at an event down at Lower Trestles here, and we walked down together. And you know, I work with the WSL and I work with a bunch of the athletes and stuff. And so he got stopped, and there was a line of about 20 people, all wanting selfies and autographs, this, that, and the other. And like an hour and a half goes by, and he finally comes up to where I was, and he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're doing your job. Go be you. Like, be worried when people don't want your autograph. You know what I mean? Like, go do your job. That's what you get paid to do.
But it's obviously like against his nature.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And so your friend, that resonates with me. And then the other people where it really becomes problematic is like, based on family history and stuff, like there's this void, and that attention makes them feel good. And it's like,
there's validation.
Yeah. And it's just like that gets weird.
Yes.
That gets really weird.
Yeah. It's I think that you have to be uniquely, I don't know what it is, but like because I see some people that they just don't like people coming up to them. They don't like,
oh yeah,
you know, that's just not, it's very uncomfortable to them. And I'm in a place where like, I know exactly where if I go to a Supercross race,
you know your lane.
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of people come up to me, and a lot of people want to take photos and all, like, so that's fine. And I'm completely okay with it. Doesn't really affect me. Mm-hmm. But there's like other people that it's just, they don't want it. They don't like it. It's super uncomfortable for them.
And that's a personality thing.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think that's just like, that has to be just a personality thing. But I think you can get a level of like equanimity with it. But I also wonder though, like I'll get stopped at airports. I'll get stopped on the street like a couple times a week. It's like, it's not every time I'm in the house, every time I'm in the supermarket, every time I'm at dinner. Like, so there's different levels to the game.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks that there's like, maybe it's just naive to think that you can deal with it when it gets to that level. Because I'm sure it would be. Like, I mean, there's been times at a Supercross where I was so tired from interacting with people that before the main event, I went and I slept in the press box.
You're just smoked.
I was fucked. And we'd had a big week before it, and I just literally like laid in the corner of the press box and just had a nap. And my wife's like sat at the edge. I sat leaned against the wall, and she just sat there so no one could come like fuck with me. Basically, I was cooked. So that it's like it definitely takes some energy.
Well, it not only does it take energy, but you have to learn how to deal with it. And that's honestly, that's part of being a professional athlete, and that's being a rock star. That's being someone in entertainment. I mean, I remember this one story. I had lunch, and there was this really famous actor, like ridiculously good looking guy, just like great genetics and everything. He's like just the coolest, most down to earth guy. And we were in a restaurant, and he was just getting beat up in the rags and everything in the news, and he was just having a shocker. He's like, "Oh, let's just go. I know this one restaurant. Let's go." So we're in LA, and he's not having it at all. And these two very attractive girls walk up, and he sees them coming, and he's just like, I just see it on his face. I'm like, "Oh no, don't snap. Don't do it." And there were two foreigners, and like, "Oh, we would like to take a picture with you." I said, "Great." Handed him the camera. I got up and took the photo with the two girls. He got up and took a photo. and just like, I haven't seen that guy laugh that hard ever in my life. And it was really funny because then the girls were just sitting there looking at us like,
that did not go the way we thought.
We don't want photo with you. We want photo with him. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." You know, it was really cool.
Just completely disarm
the situation.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the thing that is like, and I don't want to put the like athletes and people in entertainment on pedestals. I mean, obviously they're very good at what they do, and part of the deal is like it comes with it.
Yeah.
But people are more interested in watching people fail and snap. Like if it bleeds, it reads.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, that's so hard with young athletes, because it's like, this is new to them. They're, it's a different world, and they're trying to adjust to it, and so on and so forth. And some people do it better than others, but it's the old saying. It's like, you can build a lifetime of a reputation, but seconds to tarnish it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched people lose deals because of it, and it's brutal.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is people have a version of you in their head that they think you are without actually knowing you.
Yeah.
And then it's your job when somebody comes up to you in public, or when somebody is obviously a fan of what you do or whatever it is, they come up to you. You have to interpret who you are to them,
right,
in your own head, and then you have to be that guy. You don't get to be who you are at that moment right now. And I think that's something that you get to do with your friends, and that's something you get to do with people that are close to you. Like, if I'm in a shit mood, like, I'm in a shit mood. Love you, dog, but I'm just fucking not feeling it. And that's okay. But you can't do that in those like parasocial circumstances. And I think that can be a thing that creates a lot of pressure. And it's just that it's not their fault on their side. Like, they can't look at you any other way than you've like chosen to represent yourself over time. But yeah, it then just puts a really weird expectation on this side to be like, who does this person think I am? How do they think I'm going to react? I need to not let that person down and like give them the experience that they think that they should get.
Yeah. I mean, I've been with people that, they found out their spouse is cheating on them, or they have a child in the hospital. One in particular, had found out they had cancer, and so on and so forth. And I respect them so much, because that person that comes up to them and that approaches them, it's like they don't know what they're going through. And I think that's a general thing in just life in general, because we're so quick to be judgy and so quick to be reactive. It's like, you have no idea what that person's going through. And it's like, give people the benefit of the doubt. Give them a little bit of empathy. And it's like, I've seen athletes that are so gracious and so humble, and that's the playbook. And I've watched situations where I know stuff that's going on in their personal life, and they get approached, and I'm just like, oh, not now. But they handle it well, and that is something that is just, it's pretty remarkable to watch, and that's something like I get to witness with my head behind the scenes. And people do a lot of things that people don't even know about, just straight altruistic human things, and that they give back, and that's something I respect quite a bit.
How have you watched the landscape change with social media?
Oh, basically, we had news outlets that would do reporting and everything. Now everyone's a news reporter. So everything's been magnified, and everyone's got a camera and everything. And it's like, it's a blessing, it's a curse, but it's like, how are you going to handle yourself when you're inundated and overwhelmed? And the sad thing is like a lot of young women, and not only young women, but men, there's more rates of depression and anxiety because, they call it Insta brag for a reason. And then you got other people that, people have never had platforms, and all of a sudden they want to break the news. And it's gnarly, man. Like, I've got high school kids that go into locker rooms and bait people and like try and talk crap about their other friends, and they record it and then they expose it. That's like, oh,
damn,
what are we doing?
Yeah, so you'd know so much more than me because of kids. Like, you would see, like, that's even worse than I thought. Like, I'm thinking about it more from just like my own perspective in a way. But dude, imagine what kids have to deal with.
Oh, I would never want to grow up in this day and age with everything that's going on. I mean, maybe I'm just an old fart and I'm old school, but it's rough because everyone watches what you do and everyone watches what you don't do. And then think about what that has done for the average person, that they have platforms. What does that do to someone that's got notoriety in whatever craft they're in or entertainment? It's like, that just gets magnified. And, some people can pretty shake it off or deal with it because they've grown up in that. But it doesn't mean that, like, some people, when we talk about personality, they'll read the comments and they'll respond and engage, not in a positive way. And it causes friction. And then some people can't even look at them. And it's like, can you believe they said this about me? I said, do you know that person? No. Okay. Who in your life do you respect their opinion that you're going to listen if they're going to call you out? And it's like, was Mike Tyson said something. It was a great quote. Like, everyone's soft because they can hide behind a keyboard and not get punched in the mouth. And it's like, there's some truth in that for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just, the opinions and the negativity, it's pretty rough, to be honest.
And is that become like a theme that you're having to deal with athletes, like in your world?
Absolutely. Like media training and whatnot. I mean, I have one of the best young athletes. I'm not going to say if they're male or female, but they're at the top of their sport. And they were saying, like, they said this about me, like, they're commenting on their appearance and how dumb they are, and like the music they listen to is stupid, and like, you're ugly and this and that. And it's just like, what is a kid gonna do with that information? That's rough. But think about it. There's emotional abuse and physical abuse. Like, the bumps and bruises and broken bones, those things heal. Is it extreme? Yes. And I'm not trying to minimize that. But then you got the emotional abuse where you're told you're a piece of shit and you're no good, and you've got a parent or a caregiver, and it's like, that gets weaved into your psyche. And in a kind of a more macro level, it's like the court of public opinion is vilifying someone, and that is such a mind screw. And it, it's like, I'm a dad and, my 3 boys, and it's like, I remember when my son was probably 4 years old and we were at the park and some kid pushed him over and I was like, "Roar." I was like, daddy bear coming out trying to protect. And it's like, I could have got myself in some real trouble. I mean, it sounds silly to talk about it, but it's
like instinctual, I guess.
It's totally instinctual. Yeah. And parents will go to at any lengths to protect their kid. It's just like, you gotta let them struggle. And you got to teach them more than anything. I know if I'm going off on a bit of a tangent,
no.
This one, it really hits a nerve for me.
Yeah. It's just a whole layer of complexity that we just like really haven't had to deal with. I mean, 2012, I think I got Instagram, so like 13 years it's become.
I don't even know when I got it.
Yeah, it's become a thing. But I mean, I'm off Instagram. Like I don't have it on my phone. Like I try and minimize as much as I'm actually like, I'm fine with the comments and I'm fine with negative comments and I'm fine with people talking shit and I can reply. I'll reply and out of fun. Like a lot of times I just think it's funny.
Yeah,
to,
but
like,
what do they want from you?
Yeah, a response.
Oh,
yeah.
They want a reaction, yeah.
But like, so I guess I'm not off social media for that aspect. Like I just don't, it doesn't really worry me. Like I actually try and learn from the comments in a way, like, because sometimes they nail it. you just kind of have to fucking admit that they were right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's an easy way because like he doesn't care if he hurts your feelings, like my wife and friends aren't going to fucking tell me the most brutal truth at times, they want to like wrap it in a nice little package. So it's a good little cheat sheet just to, get the juice straight away. But I think it's more so just what it's doing to our attention and like the way that just the amount of hours you can lose. Like I know a rider where I asked him how much his screen time was and he'd like never looked and he looked at his phone and it was like a lot. And I'm like, bro, I don't know if that's a fucking move, just to be your age, doing your career, look how well you're already doing, and you want to spend like 9-10 hours a day on your fucking phone. Like, bro, that's 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
That is fucking nearly 500 hours a month of just like time where you're not even engaging with physical reality. Like, that's fucking sad, bro. Like, even just on a human, like, forget the athlete, but like, surely you've got something in your life you could be doing that's more productive than spending 500 hours a week, a month on your phone.
Right. But also kind of, I don't disagree with that, but the flip side is like, it's a platform and it's a marketing tool.
Get someone else to do it for you.
I totally, no, I agree. That's like, I have guys that they're like, during the season, I don't even look at it.
Yeah.
I don't even deal with it. And to me, it's like, you learn from comments and whatnot. And, I can gain some insight about what people are posting, what type of posts that they're putting out there. It's very interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, an athlete's probably not got anything to learn from the comment section.
Nothing.
Like, realistically.
Nothing.
Like, I do, because the people that are writing comments have, like, listened to my work that I've produced. So they're, like, essentially critiquing either my personality or my work. So it's like, if there's a fucking nugget there, like, I'd be mad not to take it. But like, someone ripping on Chase Sexton, what's the fucking odds that they're going to say something that he could actually take an action into his life to make him a better athlete? Like, probably not.
Nothing. I mean, but that's what people want, is they want a reaction. I mean, I'm sure people are going to look at me on this and people are going to have some comments, but the reality is like, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I've got people that I respect and I respect their opinions immensely. And if they're gonna call me out and put me in check, like, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah, you'll listen to those people.
And that's healthy.
Yeah.
You got to have people in your corner. And that, that, once again, not to make it about me, but in psychology, it's like, part of my job is holding people accountable. And so I, right before Redbud, I had a moto guy. He's going to hear this. This is going to be funny. You know, Tuesday, 4:00, canceled. Wednesday, canceled. Thursday, canceled. 4th of July, I'm flying out 6 a.m. I'll be in the hotel room. Can you talk then? I said, yes, you're lucky you're one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But what are we doing here? Are you happy where you're at? And then to talk about like being selfish in a healthy way. It's like he's spread so thin, he's all over the place. Like, are you really ready? And I called him out. And we talked on July 4th, and we talked, and he was like, I got that text and it pissed me off. I said, yeah, I get that. But I'm not going to sit here. Like, I have a life too, man. Like, I'm doing this because you're in the middle of the season. I want to set you up for success. I'm going to do my part and I'm going to show up. But if you keep canceling on me, that's time that I don't get back. And it's like, where are your priorities? And he's like, no, I get it. I totally get it. And he went out and let's just say he did very, very well.
I'm excited to announce our new partnership with the leaders in custom eyewear, SportRX.com. I've had to wear glasses since I was a kid, and my whole life the process of getting custom glasses made was just a hassle. Not only this, I've never experienced what it was like to do all of the activities I love with perfect vision, but that is a thing of the past. SportRX's whole goal as a company is to make sure that vision never keeps you from doing what you love, and I can safely say that they have completely changed the game for me. SportRX crafts your eyewear not only for your optimum prescription, but also for your sport, the environment, conditions, and specific lighting. I now have glasses for running, for mountain biking, for golf, and I now have glasses for my Oakley Airbrake motocross goggles. Look at these bad boys. The process of getting my glasses made and delivered was extremely simple, and the emphasis that the team at SportRX put on quality and customer satisfaction is second to none. They even offer a free remake and return policy if you're not completely satisfied. Every now and again, something comes along that completely blows my mind, and SportRX has done that. You'll see me wearing a host of new glasses if you follow the podcast, and you can be sure they were crafted by the team at SportRX. Head to sportrx.com or click the link in the description to find out more. Yeah, and that's important though, right? And it's funny when you say like accountability. We were talking about Haiden and the shit talk.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think is like loading himself up with accountability?
Well, once again, he doesn't have to be accountable because his results, he can do whatever he wants.
But do you think that there's a level of, like, I think about Conor McGregor. Right? And it's like, I'm going to knock Aldo out first round. He's like, he's going to do this and I'm going to do this. Fast forward to the fight. Bang, 13 seconds. He did that. McGregor did this. And it's like, I think that there's definitely, I've seen riders as well. So like Chad Reed was a guy who needed to be pissed off. He needed an enemy. He needed a villain. Matt Moss, Aussie guy, chip on his shoulder, needed a villain, needed an enemy, needed to not like people. It's like there's some kind of accountability in that. Like when you put that out into the universe, then you have to hold yourself to the standard that you told the world that you would.
Totally. And you better back it up too. And you know, in the world of psychology, they figured this out in the late 1800s. You know, a velodrome, the cycling, the one gear. Yeah. And so they go around. So what they figured out, and they came up with the term called social facilitation. And so they would have people go around the track individually and they would get their time and so on and so forth. And then when they put two people on the track and it got competitive individually, their times went lower. And so I think like there's that aspect to it. It's like he needs friction. It gets him fired up. And then he gets reinforced by proving that he was right. You know, he exposed himself just a tiny bit. I think it was Hangtown. He got second, and he looked really upset.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chance beat him in that first
Yeah,
moto.
and so he looked upset, but I respect the fact that he's going out and he wants to win everything. And it's like he's going to go down swinging no matter what. And, people were so happy to see him lose and this, that, and the other. I'm like, he still got second. What are we like, whoa, you got one up on Deegan, like scoreboard. No way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the personality, like you can break it down now. It's like some people feed off of that, and then it's like they have to back it up, and that's accountability.
Does he have one of the more interesting personalities in the sport? Do
I
you
would
think
yes.
from your clinical perspective?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you see?
I see brash. I see aggression. I see hunger. Like he wants to destroy. And now, it's the interesting thing, and everyone's talking about it. And, I've heard you talk about it. It's like, how is this going to translate to the 450s? And your thoughts, I know you like enlighten us again, please.
I think he's won at every level.
Yeah.
Winners win.
Agreed.
I think if you look through history, the guys that are great were great at every step. And there's, steps that you take along. There's a ladder, and, if you win at every step on the ladder, like the chances are you're probably going to win. It's literally like unstoppable object, immovable, or like, unstoppable force, immovable object kind of thing. It's like, because he's going to come in thinking that he can beat Jett. And Jett has absolutely zero evidence that he can be beaten.
Right. And that's interesting. But, the probability is there that he will be successful.
For sure.
Like, there's no question about that. But then again, it's like if I'm betting, I'm going to bet on that. But there's so many other things that can happen in a race. And if he comes out and isn't podium and isn't winning and isn't beating Jett, people are going to write him off real quick. And it's like, no way. Don't do that. That's just going to fuel the guy. And I'd say there's a significantly high chance he's going to do very well, but I need to see it unfold in real time. I need the evidence. It's there. I mean, but you think about like all the college players that get drafted number 1 and they're like, oh, he's a bust. It's like bullshit. The guy got paid millions of dollars and he made it to like, he's less than 1% of the athletes in the world that can play at that level.
Yeah.
That's still success. Did he do it at that level like he wanted to? No. And no one's going to be more bummed out than him. And I hate when people write people off like that.
Do you think that working with someone like you can help a guy like Deegan? Is it almost like when you've got that kind of mentality, you just wouldn't want to fuck with it? Like it's probably going to work for him.
Well, I think from a performance standpoint, it is working. But I don't know what his personal life is like. And that's something that I would be interested in.
What would interest you in that way?
How he handles adversity. How, like, we see the brashness. Like, is he kind? Which I'm sure he is. His family is really tight and they go to the races and stuff like that. And, it's like people have this alter ego.
Yeah.
And it's like Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
It's like cameras on, he's lit up like a Christmas tree and he's chirping and just getting after it. But in his private life, he was a lot mellower than people even realize. And so it's like, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get that access, but that's what I would be interested in. And it's like, how are you able to turn off Haiden, the athlete? Does it ever get turned off?
Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
difference.
Is there an off switch?
Yeah.
Because that's not sustainable over time.
Yes.
You know, you're going to age out regardless. You know, and the most celebrated one, I think, is in our culture is Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I saw this, or I heard it on a podcast, I don't remember, but he was on a flight and he went up to the stewardess and said, "Hey, here's a couple $100. Make sure the number 23 luggage bag comes out first." So he went and then like made a bunch of bets. I bet my bag comes out first. And they were like, "Oh, no, wait." And he duped him. Like, that's next level.
Yeah, that's like some.
That's savage.
Yeah, that's some gangster shit, right?
Total gangster shit.
Yeah.
And I think like, you know, Haiden has a similar personality.
Yeah.
And it's like, for you, is he, I mean, we'll know at the end of his career how great he will be based on results and everything like that. But the potential for him is there. And like, how old is Jett?
20.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's crazy. If Jett wins every overall this year, then he would have had another perfect season. So not every moto.
Right.
But it's like we still talk about Ricky Carmichael as because he had a season where he won every overall.
Right.
But he didn't win every moto, and we still say like that's a perfect season, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like Ricky Carmichael is the greatest of all time. And he got 2 perfect seasons, and Jett is 20. And if he wins every overall this year, he'll have 2 at 20. Like, it's so hard to put his greatness into perspective. And I don't even think people want to. You know, I don't even think people want to admit just how good he actually is.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, the performance will dictate where he stands in the history books. And like, you know, it's performative and it's good for the sport and, you know, people tune in, and the fact that he and Brian were on ESPN Sports Center, it's like, that's awesome. That's great. But what it comes down to it, like the kid is delivering.
Mm.
And it's, you know, and then I've got people that, you know, race against him. And what is he to them? It's a distraction.
Mm.
And I have to like shift them back over and be like, okay, what can you do? Because his bike and Jett's bike, it just, I mean, Chance said it. He rode Jett's bike in 6 seconds. That's like,
yeah, crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think people can grasp
Yeah.
how insane that is.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go out and you have to race against that. And you know that, like, talk about a mind screw.
Yeah. So the time that it becomes an issue from like a personality standpoint is when the character and the person and the alter ego, they all just kind of merge. And I think Conor McGregor is like the perfect example of that,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm, you know, I'm not one for too much chirping, but Conor's so good at it. He's amazing. I mean, there's this one conference and there's all these, you know, fighters up there, and one guy's chirping. He's like, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Yeah, bro. One of the best one-liner burns
Ever.
of all time, dude.
I couldn't believe that. And like, he's so entertaining, you know, and it's like, but you're not going to be the big bad wolf. It's like, you have a shelf life as a professional.
Yeah.
And in my job, like, I'm going to be doing this till I'm 80 probably. I got to put 3 kids through college.
Yeah.
But like, you have to maximize. But I, you know, Conor's done very well for himself financially. There's no question about that. But like, is that going to translate into, you know, your everyday life?
Yeah.
And he's had some pretty big run-ins.
Yeah.
It's like one of the saddest things I've ever seen. You know, do you know the Major League Baseball player named Pete Rose?
I've heard of.
Yeah,
Pete Rose,
his nickname was Charlie Hustle. Played for the Reds.
Yeah.
Got banned from baseball because he was betting on baseball.
Yeah.
I was in Las Vegas walking to my room, and he was at like a chair and a table like on the side of this like hotel signing memorabilia and autographs. And I was just like, that's brutal.
For what you were and could have been.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know all the things that went on, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, but there was obviously some choices made that, you know, he didn't separate it.
Mm.
And he thought he was invincible.
Yeah, you can get lost in the sauce pretty quick. So on contrast then, so you've got Jett, like what do you make of his personality from what you've been able to see?
The thing that I picked up on that was so great was when after the race, the camera was on him and he took it and put it on Tomac. Like, I think he has this quiet confidence, and to me, he's focused. Like I mean, let's go back to Hangtown last year. Like, Chase was in dead last and he came all the way back. Like, that was nuts. And everyone's talking, I don't know if he was 18th or 13th and he came back.
Yeah.
It's like that to me says a lot about mental fortitude, because he didn't get emotional. He just he rode.
Yeah. When you were talking before, I thought of that moment.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of what was going on at Redbud. Like, he dropped it, he got up, he charged, he won. Like, just didn't look emotional at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's part of like the, you know, the term, I'll say it again, is like the stress inoculation. Because what do you think every athlete I talk to is like the anticipatory aspect of it. And then there's programming for that as far as like, what are you doing to reduce that and keep yourself distracted? And then there's positive self-talk and this, that, and the other. Like one guy, what I do with athletes is they come up with 10 words. I call it their top 10 that is rooted in positivity. And most of them shave it down to 5, or they come up with a statement. And this is one guy's real statement. Be quick, be strong, be great. Be quick, be strong, be great. That's all he says when he's on the line. And the gate drops and he goes. And that's
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's rooted in positivity. That's his own statement. And he's getting results. And that's the thing is like, I mean, I know you stand next to the gate. That's freaking intense.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is gnarly when they pile up. It's like the Tour de France when someone crashes and everyone goes down.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And I love it. I feel it. I get that feeling. Like, it's something that I miss from sports quite a bit. And I can only imagine what they're going through.
Oh, dude.
You can't, it's priceless to me.
I love A1 for that. Like, you just think about this whole off season of just being in the cave, just hurting.
Right.
So many laps, so much testing, so much communicating, like so much focus, so much media, so much attention, so much hype. And then there's a point in the stadium where the lights go off, the fireworks go, and you're on the gate for the first heat race of the year. And to me, I'm just like, that moment is just so insane. The things that have led up to that moment, and it's just you, and you put your helmet on and everything. It's like so noisy, but so quiet in the same sense. And I just think it's just a spectacle, you know, if you like really understand what the guys have to go through to get there. And if you're the kind of person that can be on that gate with a chance to win, fuck, you're a savage.
Totally. And it reminds me of a quote by the Jamaican sprinter, Usain Bolt. He goes, I spend 4 years for 10 seconds. That's it. Like, think about that. Think about that. It's like most people lose track after a couple of months because we are creatures of habit. And to deviate from those is very difficult. And that's why, you know, consistency and discipline, not only from a physical standpoint, but a mental standpoint, you'll get results. not necessarily like spots on the leaderboard and stuff like that, but it will build confidence knowing that you're putting in the effort to make it happen.
So what, in your experience, what is the most effective way to build habits?
Just doing it, having accountability. And like I tell athletes all the time, I want you to be bored. And then I bring up the special ops, you know, the example of that, where it's like you train and you train and you train and you train and you do it with intention and you learn how to switch it on and switch it off so that when you get to the line, you're ready to go.
Mm.
And it's like, what's the biggest killer of confidence? It's self-doubt. You've eliminated doubts, and then it's go time. And, you know, it's like in NFL drafts, and I've been able to be part of a few and work with a couple agents, and they look for certain things in players. And one of the big ones is work ethic. They may not be the most talented guy in the draft, but are they willing to put in the work and have that growth mindset to improve? Because if you think like you're on top, hey, there's always going to be someone that's going to replace you.
Mm.
So you got to put in the work.
What do you think about talent after all of the years of doing what you've been doing? What is talent?
Natural ability. And there's plenty of examples of people in moto and other sports where they have all the talent in the world, but you put them on a big stage against other competition that may not be as good, but they don't have that mental mindset. Like they won't live up to expectations. But talent to me is basically you've got great genetics. What about the thing that's attached to that, your brain? And like, how can you interact with that to improve? Because, you know, like your friend you brought up earlier, it's like they're not the most competitive person in the world, but they are talented as all hell.
Mm.
But that is something that can be learned. And some people, you know, have an advantage because they have that competitiveness built in. And that is something that is tough because there's always going to be a bigger, badder person. And for me personally, it's like, I'm going down swinging. I don't care who you are. If I got a chance, I'm going for it. And that's kind of the mentality and attitude that you have to have, because if you're worried about losing, it's like, you're done.
Mm. So talent is the physical gifts that you're born with to do the physical activity of the sport.
Yeah, that's the raw. At least my interpretation. That's the raw talent.
Yeah. Can people have mental talent?
Absolutely.
So you can be born with the same set of gifts, but applied to a mental discipline instead of a physical discipline.
Yeah, look at scientists. Look at math prodigies.
Mm.
You know, and that's, you know, early in the conversation you brought something up, is like you find something and you learn how to master it. And I get people that, you know, they have children and, you know, you get what you get. Let's be honest. And like, you're not going to force them to be like some aspiring athlete, but they may be really talented at art and they may be really talented at music. And like, everyone has that particular thing that they're into. And it's like, if you can create mastery with a child in development, it builds confidence.
Mm.
And that's why like sports are so important. It's like, you know, individually, there's aspects of that. On a team sport, you're dealing with different personalities. You have to learn to get along and you know, resolve conflicts and deal with different personalities. But, you know, you're all collectively in it together.
Mm. So what can the average person take from athletes, high-level performers, from like that mental kind of aspect that you talk about? Like when you're talking to these guys, like what's something that can relate back to just a normal everyday person?
Strive for greatness. I know it's cheesy and cliche, but if you want to be better at something, you got to put in the work. and you gotta want it. And that's where I think with technology and social media is like, it seems like it comes easy for people, but it's like, man, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You get to see the finished product, but like the blood, the sweat, and the tears, and like the everyday person, consistency and discipline. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and it's just not a secret.
No. And that's the thing about like sports. Like I said, there's programming and people are selling it, but also there's the human element. And it's like, recognize your strengths, work on your weaknesses. And it's like, look, I'm not going to make someone like, it's like, oh, you come talk to me, I'm going to make you better. That's like, no, you are physically talented and you have these aspects, but I'm going to help set you up for success on one, how to approach, how to deal with recovery, how to deal with life's problems when they arise. And some things you're just going to have to struggle with and deal with, but you're going to get through it and you're going to navigate it.
And that's very relatable. Like that's, I think there's I tell people now, I'm like, man, I wish I knew earlier that the next problem I solved wasn't going to be the last problem I solved.
Right.
Because I definitely had like an attitude when I was younger that I was just like, all right, I'm going to take care of this and then I'm fucking good. Then it's going to be sweet. And it's like, yeah, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you don't know what's around the corner, but you can guarantee that something is going to go wrong again. And there's like a level of calmness and ease that you can actually deal with your problems that makes your life way more enjoyable,
Totally. And then it's like there's no substitute for experience. And if you've navigated some pretty hard things in life, it's like, life isn't fair. It's tough. And it's like, I can give you so many stories and examples, but it's like, how people want to pursue things is up to them. And it's like, if you came into my office and I see like you and you're this great person, like, I can't want you to get better more than you want to. And that's the hard part. Because like, I know at some level I can be supportive and helpful in some way. But if the person doesn't want to do it, that's on them.
What's some of the greatest success stories that you've had? But like, obviously not naming names, but like, just, is there been any like really personally fulfilling moments kind of along the way? I'm sure there has. Naturally.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I've been very fortunate. Like, I've seen NFL rings, I've seen, gold medals and stuff like that. But the really satisfying thing for me is like, I stop working with the person and they're off in the retirement and I get a wedding invitation, or they tell me that, they had the child. It's like they're living life beyond sport. And not only that, but that goes into like my private clinical, people that put in and do the work and change their life and have this level of catharsis. I mean, that's super satisfying for me more than anything. But at the end of the day, it's like, for me personally, what I strive for is like, I want to be a good husband and I want to be a good dad, because it's like, you see the parent-child relationship, and I said people, it's like, oh, my kid's my best friend. It's like, I don't want to be my kid's friend. It's like they have lots of friends. I just want to be a dad, and if they need something, like, I want to be there. And I'm super competitive, hyper competitive, and how I channel that now is doing work with elite athletes. It's like, I'm gonna bring my best.
Yeah, it's your sport in a sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think maybe it's why we gravitate towards athletes in society the way that we do, because I think it's quite relatable. Like I feel like I'm a athlete in business in a sense. Like, I treat this like my sport and you treat what you do like your sport. I think that sport really does provide a framework for excellence.
Yeah.
And then that framework is transferable. And you can treat yourself and hold yourself to the same standard that we see an Olympic gold medalist but you can just apply that to your own lane in life, you know?
Yeah. And a perfect example is like, people in the military, when they get out, they're desirable candidates for employment. And the same thing with athletes.
Yeah.
Because they know they have work ethic.
Mm.
And if they hold themselves to a high standard, it's like that's what people want. But it's like the other thing too is like the word fan, it comes from the word fanatic.
Mm.
And like I am a fan of motocross, like straight up. I watch the races, like I got Peacock on my phone. I mean, I've got skin in the game. There's a couple of races where my guys weren't racing because they were injured, but like I still I love watching it because you can't predict the outcome.
Mm.
And there's so many stories that come out of it, and stories that come off of it, and everyone wants to be attached to something great. And like fans, they're all rooting for their team, and it's like there's a lot of community in that as well. I think that's what's really great about sports, because it makes you feel part of something. You may not be able to do the sport in particular, but you can be a part of it.
No, that's honestly so true.
Yeah.
So what's some of the best advice you've ever been given in life that you'd like to pass on?
Oh, geez. Oh, that, man.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are. I think what I said earlier is like, have empathy for people.
Mm.
Like, you really don't know what's going on in other people's lives. And if you're judging and being judgy and gossipy, then it's like you're not focused on yourself. And it's like my wife, we had a pretty gnarly conversation a few months ago. And like I broke my ankle in December, and I was laid up at home. I couldn't walk, and I was just like, I was a mess, but I could still do my job. And I was barking at the kids because I couldn't do stuff. And I was asking, a 16, a 14-year-old, and a 10-year-old to do stuff. And she sat me down and she said, hey, like, these guys are going to be out of the house in a couple of years. Do you want to be remembered like this? And she just floored me.
Yeah, really cut to the core.
She can go for the jugular. She's known for that.
Yeah.
But it was a sobering reminder, and it was like, yeah, you're right. So I think perspective and being able to be grounded is so healthy, because it's like you just don't know what other people are going through, and you don't want to make assumptions.
And is that, I guess, maybe one of the gifts of doing what you do, is that you get to see these people that are idolized and these people that are quote unquote so special, and you see the same human flaws in them.
Absolutely.
And that gives you like a level of humility and perspective when it comes to that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's so many stories that I could share with you. I probably talked too much already, but it's like, yeah, to see people be successful and see people enjoy things and like I said, have that level of catharsis, it's so satisfying. But it's not, like, I'm a facilitator. They do the work.
Mm.
And to me, that's one of the most powerful things, and kind of a gift of what I do, is I get to see and help to be involved in change. And like, I don't give a shit about who the public thinks you are or anything like that. You're still a human being, and you have flaws. Everyone does. And it's okay.
So what do you think just the average person listen to this? Like, if you could give some tips of just like things that can instantly improve your life, just like straight best practice. Like, if you're not doing these things, then this is the lowest hanging fruit that can lead to you improving your mental health.
Well, I as an advocate, I would say, like, here I am, and I'm being transparent. Like, I am flawed. I have issues, and I have a certain expertise. Go talk to someone. And even if things are going well, like you and your wife, it's like, have a mechanism of support ready for you. I think that's the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And like with the World Surf League, and I've been involved with them for, 14 years or whatever. And it's like, I go and I give this speech and I say, look, you may not ever need me. And that's great. That's awesome. But that's not the point. The point is that you have an option. And I think with people, it's like, you can always make a choice. And it's like, don't let fear hold you back. And if someone wants to better something and they want to better themselves, just do it. It's like, I think that's you think about the one thing that any individual can do that can make a big difference, just do it. They're going to spend so much time thinking about it and not doing it. And then it just becomes this big thing. Just do it. Because time is something that we cannot get back, and time is precious and it is limited, and we don't know when our expiration date is. So it's like, do what you need to do and take care of yourself and take care of the people around you.
We'll leave it there. That's pretty solid advice, mate. This was awesome. I really appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me, man.
Really appreciate you coming on. Hope you enjoyed.
No, I love it. I just, I hope I didn't ramble too much.
I loved every minute of it, mate.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
No. I'm a bit of a psychology nerd. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I was picking up on the Eastern stuff for sure.
Yeah, no, I just feel like, I spent a lot of time not having me head right.
Yeah.
Just spent a lot of time as a kid thinking about the wrong stuff. And, I definitely had bouts of serious depression when I was younger. And, like it definitely took work. Like relationships take work. And, like there's a lot that goes into being mentally sound. You know?
And it's like, from what I've gathered, there's not a lot of big mental health support in motocross. And every guy that I've worked with is like, man, you should talk to so-and-so. Man, you should talk to so-and-so. And it's like, I want to help. It's like, and I know I can, but it's like, it's just one of those things where it'll come around hopefully. And I think you providing this platform really opened that up. So that I'm very grateful.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. How can people reach you if they want to reach you?
On Instagram, my website is just my first and last name, christianglasgow.com.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description and all that jazz.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, mate. Well, this was fantastic. And you're up in Ventura, you said?
Yeah, I'm in Ventura.
Yeah.
I was in graduate school, and my future wife got a job up there, and I was still on contract for this research job I had, and we did the long distance thing, and I moved up there. And it'd probably better be based in LA or San Diego, but I'm not moving my kids. No way.
Ventura's cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, Dane Searles and the whole crew up there. Yeah. Is it Dane Searles?
Dane Reynolds.
Dane Reynolds, sorry. Dane Searles, moto dude.
Oh, it's
Dane, yeah, he made all those. I used to, when I was surfing all the time, I used to go up there and just want to catch
Who's
those
the surfer
waves.
back home? And I'll show you. I'm dying to know.
Which are a few boys. Like, I've met like Fanos. Mick Fanning's done the podcast.
He has. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm really good friends with Jack Freestone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's like a very good friend of mine. And Julian Wilson's a good friend as well.
Yeah, it was great to see him at Burley do well.
Bro, right? Like, how insane was that? Yeah. He just came out and owned it.
Yeah, he totally Mick is one of those guys, man, where that's the professional that I tell surfers to look at as an example. Like, he had the Eugene and all that, and then tore his hamstring off the bone, basically, and then he got his shit together. And he stopped partying, and he went to the gym, and he went to bed early, and he was selfish in a healthy way. And he's a perfect example. I had someone, he was retired, but they went to a camp at his house on the Goldie.
Yeah.
And I said, you gotta ask Mick this question for me. And I said, how is he able to turn it off after a heat? Because you watch him before, he is locked and loaded. And he's had so much adversity with his family and his brothers, and it's just like, it's brutal. But he was able to lock in, and it was like such a great Australian answer. He looked at my athlete, he's like, I just say, oh, fuck it off. Well, it's like, what's done is done.
Yeah.
Why dwell on it?
Yeah.
And he's so engaging with fans, and he makes time, and he's just like, I use him as an example in the world of surfing for sure. He's top-notch guy.
Yeah, no, he's just a professional.
Yes.
Very professional, very methodical. And it's funny, like, over time in my own mind, I'm like, success isn't that hard. Or like, success is hard, but it's simple. You basically have to do what's required of you in the moment over time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like there's basically like you have a whole lot of things that are required of you. That's essentially like what you put on your shoulders, and then you just walk forward. Mm. And where you decide to drop that load is where you will stay. Mm. And it's like you could be in the house you want, living with the lifestyle that you want, and you could have a certain level of freedom and a certain level of like, that's all of the things that success buys you in that way, right? But it's like how far you walk with that load on your shoulders is going to determine the like how successful you are. And I think that Mick was the guy, like when you say that he stopped partying, he did the right things, that was him just saying yes to success, saying yes to what was required of him, and then walking forwards until the day that he retired. And
look at his transition into retirement. I don't want to keep this.
No.
But like, I'll give you a perfect example. I had one of the top guys in the world, and he was telling me that he was going to announce his retirement. I'm like, don't do it. Why? Because you're not going to train as hard. You're going to play it safe. You're going to let your foot off the gas, and you're going to underperform. And he got pissed at me. And then, you know, he finally came back and we talked it out. But it was more about, like, he set himself up because he was aging out. Mm. Where if he didn't try, he didn't have to fail.
Yeah.
And that was built in, and I called him out on it. And then the crazy part is, like, you know, he had his retirement and everything, but he was scared shitless. Mm. He didn't know what to do. And then, you know, a few months later, he's like, I think I can make a run at it. I'm going to go back. I'm like, dude, no. Mm. Go be the guy. Mm. Go be one of the faces of your sport. Go travel the world. Go participate, like, on camera with kids. Do media appearances, give talks, get paid, like, just be done. But he couldn't let go.
Yeah. Yeah, just that built-in purpose was gone.
Totally. And not only that, but he thought he was going to be forgotten about, which was a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's wild, man.
Yeah, athletes definitely have a whole lot of, they've got all of life's normal problems, and then a whole set of other very weird problems that only they kind of can relate to in a way.
Totally. And they grow up in these, for lack of a better term, like, just kind of these fucked up circumstances. And it's weird and it's odd. Mm. And once that goes away, it's like, and then you're just a normal Joe that gets, you know, recognized from time to time. It's like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Mm. Unless you've, like, really worked on that beforehand and like kind of come to terms with it. Totally. But I don't think a lot of guys do.
No, they don't. And that's why I'm like, be like Mick.
Yeah.
Mick did it right.
Yeah, set yourself up.
Yeah.
Dude, this was awesome. Everybody, the links will be in the description if you want to get in contact. But this was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chase. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming and doing it.
You bet.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.